alliances there, right? Like a 5, 6, 7, or you, or or somebody like that was there. Like they couldn't do anything, but I would say probably 90% of other alliances they're going to get 12, 15,000 points even against the I don't know 373 for conversation's sake, So with that amount of points and around that, the nation as a whole doesn't prioritize. Like we're a 1-3, nation. That's what we play is 1 and 3, as a priority. But two, if they can go in there and steal 10, 15,000 points, like it's essentially a wrap, you know?
Yeah, those off round points. I mean, we were in a situation where 1,500 points one round made a huge difference. You know what I mean? Those off round points can be critical.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember, 357 and in 385 even, losing fucking GCs by five sub 500 points. Like you better fucking pay attention, guys. You better go, log in and get some tower points somewhere, off in the toilets and and whatever that looks like for your nation because it'll mean the chances of winning or losing. I think Barry was a little bit closer than us, with like 3 or 400, but 357, the first GC I was in, we lost by like 560 points, I believe it was. You know, we came and won a couple of back to back right after that, but that first one we lost by 560 points. That shit was gut wrenching, and Barry, like I was there hanging out with 385 during that particular run against, I think it was Rexy and those guys over at 320, before they merged down to Globe One GC. Uh, and they didn't pull it out by like three or 400 points. I feel like so it was even closer for them. So yeah, that 1,200 points for 621. I think what did you guys win by, Bird, when it was also like 200 points, 150?
I think it was definitely less than 2K. I remember going into round 3. In order to win, we had to max points and prevent 555 from getting more than 2480. And I think they were on track to get it early in the round, and then at a certain point they just didn't score any more points.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you
I
get
mean, we
control
were
over the big towers, you can kind of deploy the team to make sure that they can't hold any other tower for more than a minute.
yeah, any toilet that was shared, it was like 10 people were ported in, because we had
Yeah,
to. We
exactly.
like couldn't
Yeah.
let anything go. So it was fun.
Yeah, that was a very cool GC. When it was all over and that screenshot got shared, I was like, "What?" It's like,
Yeah,
"What?"
it was crazy. Round 2 was the slugfest. That's when they were all still like that was the big that was the one where we were fighting the whole time and losing most of it too. We didn't pull ahead until I don't know, last 20 minutes. I'm curious though, LG, when you talk about that close loss, like if you don't mind sharing, if you're comfortable, what did you say to the team? Because then you guys then turned around and won. What did you say to the team to keep people motivated? Like, listen, sometimes we lose, sometimes we win, but it was worth the fight, even if we didn't come away with the win. It's kind of my feeling.
Well, I mean, so kind of use this as a commercial for all those nations that are out there recruiting and bringing in new players and things like that, because that's what 357 did with me, essentially. I got, I don't want to say recruited, but, Rusty and I were friends for several months prior to me joining 355 or 357. Um, but the long and short of it was the easy answer to your question is I just got there when they lost that GC, and the fact that I had came and I believe motivated the nation quite a bit, and we had recently gotten merged, so we had an advantage. um, and I built the city fairly quickly, So I think having two really nasty cities at the time with me and Rusty, I think was something that a lot of no other nations had, I should say. Um, I think in the very, I don't want to say in the beginning, but when Rusty and I were in our prime, and Rusty was in his prime, I should say, there it was difficult to beat us because Rusty and I were like two peas in a pod. Like we were in each other's heads. Everything I did, he was right there. And we weren't talking. It was a little creepy, but it was cool. We literally thought the same. And the leadership that they had when I got there was really great with Glarin and a couple of others, and I learned a lot from those guys prior to them leaving, and the torch kind of got passed to me for conversation's sake. But I think a lot of it had to do with just the motivation of a new player that has the potential to push you over the fence, get you on the other side because 357 was in the GC finals, I think twice prior to, me coming. And, Ram and, Real Young were the other kind of nations at the time was 405. Well, whatever it was before then, but, and Rams Nation 373. So, but we would monkey punch them in Void Wars, like they couldn't, do anything against us in like Void Wars. We'd whoop their ass. So we always knew like we could beat them, but fighting Ram back in the day was a difficult thing. So I think that once me and Rusty came together, it was just very difficult to beat. And then ultimately, when some of the second mergers came along, right within that same globe, we were just kind of left in a position where now it's somebody else's turn. We started Civil War and shit like that too. Lost a couple of players, robble bullshit. Story goes on. But I think in that particular time frame that you're speaking of, it just had a lot to do with motivation of bringing in a new player. You guys are right there. Now you just picked up. I don't want to call myself a rookie or whatever, a good veteran from the other side over there, ready to bring home the trophy, and that's what we did. 425 wasn't ready. We were still young, so and I was there to learn. They were the premier nation at the time, so that's where I learned a fuck ton, especially battle tactics and preparation. Glarin was a spreadsheet fucking wizard, so he just sat there and he could tell you like literally the coordinates of every square on the map, like stupid dumb shit like that for no reason, but he had it. He could tell you where the fourth fucking military building was in so and so's territory. Yeah. So one of those leaders, but yeah, it was good time while it lasted, that's for sure.
Holbrook, what's going on in 785, man? We've been talking over you this whole time.
Nah, man, we're good. We're merged. We're trying to figure out what events are worth playing, what aren't. I'm pretty convinced now that there's so many events that everyone can play that everybody needs to pick two or three. So we're just trying to figure out how to make that work. Two different nations with two different priorities, and just try to figure out how to keep everyone's bag reasonable.
Did the nation that you're merging with, I don't know them at all. I'm just curious, but did they have a clear point person or a couple of point people who the 785 core was communicating with? I feel like the merges I've been a part of, there's always like a small group, but I know that sometimes, not all alliances feel the same way about within a nation, feel the same way about the nation trajectory and that sort of thing. Sometimes you get competing chats going.
Oh man, I don't know. Building a nation is such a headache, such hard work. I think that I think that we did it right. I'm really happy with how it's gone, but other people might not necessarily agree. But I think if you're really into this game, then you want to play like most events, and so playing the alliance events makes a lot of sense. Um, when we merged with these guys that wanted to play everything. So it was kind of easy to just be like, well, we already bring over 90 to these events. So why don't you guys just come over and play with us on those? I think optimally, but this is the problem. Like who has a nation that's optimal? But I think optimally these days, the top alliance should play like everything, maybe alliance events, whatever, and then the nation should be kind of focused on nation events. I mean, like if you're in the second alliance, you probably don't want to spend a bunch of money, which means kind of by definition, you don't want to spend on Polar and Wasteland. And so you kind of want to stick to like GC and Void. And so I think all this stuff can work out naturally, but it's definitely hard, Merging nations together is tough, but we're just trying to kind of figure out like if we stay focused on alliance events in the top alliance, then that's great. And if the nation is excited about nation events, then we can all play that together. That would be great too. But everyone has their own priorities, so it's tough. Sorry, talking too much.
No, man, it's all good. You're the only one who's freshly merged, so we're all excited to hear about it.
So that's also gotten super weird too. I used to join these things and I used to cry like everyone, like, oh, I need my merge. I really want my merge. And like now I get to join these things and not do that. And I feel like
How great is that? Is that kind of great? Not to
I
like,
mean it's
point and
it's
laugh at everybody else. It's kind of what it is, but it's different though, right?
it's definitely great, and I'm excited for other people to like burn down all the farmers and have a good time. And I love the Eniox video saying you're only going to get 3 merges next year, so get it together basically, which is not what he says, but he has his little sorry, I'm not saying this correctly, but he has the moments where you can actually get the merge, and they are very little. That's not his choice, but they are very little moments. And yeah, no, it feels great. It feels great not to give a shit at all about those things. But it's weird. It almost feels like you're playing a different game whenever you're just like focused on winning events, but then you still have people very focused on their whole life as merges, and there's only 3 of those that get to happen next year. It's different.
I think to your point though, like Eniax doesn't control when those windows are, but thanks to him and others who kind of dig into this kind of stuff and let us know. So it's like, all right, so the timelines, and you have a blueprint from a couple weeks ago from listening to Holbrook. You got an idea of what drastic measures you need to take if that's something that you really want. And I think also too, like, I was talking to some folks the other day who, they're probably not getting a merge, and they're pretty happy with where they're at. They get good matchups. They prefer playing head of state. It's a little bit older nation, and they get good matchups for head of state, and they don't really care about a lot of the new events, so it works for them. I don't know. Like, figure out I guess the advice I have on top of everything that's being said is like, figure out what you want, and if you're good with your lane, or if you really want to push forward, and then make the choices accordingly to pursue that path. It's good to have goals for an alliance and for a nation. Figure out what those goals are and start working towards them.
Yeah, I feel like if you're having fun, then you're probably winning, to be honest. Like, we've struggled really hard to stay towards the top with 785, and that's been super fun. It's been a great challenge. I love trying to like crack the code to get the merge, and you know, whether we cracked the code or whether we just got super lucky, none of us will ever know. But we got our merge, and now we're trying to figure out how to make that work. All of that is super fun. Nonetheless, you still run face first into Camel saying, here's 255 and 425. So I think just having a good time is probably the best part.
Yeah, you guys have built a really cool community over there that like spends a lot of time. I think you guys have cracked the code on using voice for events for sure. So it's a fun place to be, and that's fun. That's good to remember, right? Like we got to make it fun for everybody too. Like for me, it's fun diving into spreadsheets and like team attack formations and figuring out strategy for an event, but that's not necessarily fun for everyone. So you got to make sure you keep
Yeah.
it fun for those folks too, you know? Like
So
there are
true,
people
man.
who I could talk to about like something in Polar for a couple hours, but there are people who are just like, can you just ping me when I have to be there, you know? Like, and just tell me where to go when we're in the event. I get it. It's fun though.
That's the thing, you need a bunch of those, right? Like me and Big Bird have wasted too many hours talking about strategy in this game in DMs. And at the same time, when it comes down to actually playing an event, you need a bunch of people who don't care about this game at all and just show up for like 2 hours a week, if we're being honest. And like, you just have to optimize for everyone. You got to figure out how to make all of that work. I think, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, it sounds like you hit the nail on the head with that one, brother. You know, but as long as they show up for the ping, I think that's fine. I don't think that's a great breeding ground for the, for the alliance chat or, whatever. But, I think, especially right now during the holidays, like you can't even break anybody's nuts. It's like, dude, I got family in town. I got kids fucking no school. I got fucking blah, blah, blah. I'm traveling, I'm this, I'm that, so I tend to not give anybody any shit, during this time of year. But now it's over. Once again, I kind of started off with, it's back to work, both in game and, in life. And I think that, those, using, our squad as an example, those 10 or 15 people that, are hit or miss on whether or not they're going to show up, using Elite War as an example per se, it's, where you guys at, and if it's time to, quit the game, then cool, like let me get your city and, like fucking, I love you, man. If you ever got some more time, like come on back. I gotta say, I'll make something happen for you. So I think that's kind of where like that, tends to go, and it's kind of just rinse, wash, and repeat. And I tend to 100% agree on the priority event stuff. It's, I think we were talking about this earlier on the Woody thing on the Camel server with Tip and a couple of other guys. I think with, with the us older nations and like using 255 as an example, winning everything, like they're just kind of they've been doing that 3-4 event winning thing forever, and now that events are becoming more and more and more prominent, I think that similar strategies need to be adapted for all nations, man. I mean, trying to win it all is tough, and in every single event. So I think and I think we've even had a couple of pods about this in the past, maybe even on mantras, where you really should be prioritizing a couple events, 2 3 probably, where you can really focus on participation. I love Holbrook's idea with you kind of retarded not to choose the alliance events, right? Ones that need everybody to show up at a certain time at a certain place. And then the other events, and the whale, if the whales want to go play or the spending players want to go play that, fine, be my guest. I say that as a leader saying be my guest, but I predicate that with, listen, man, we have this coming up in a few weeks. I don't want to hear that you ain't got fucking gold or heels at any point during that fucking battle. Not at the 59th minute. blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear that you're out of speed or heals if you're going to go play fucking Iron Blood or Chaos Land or whatever other dumb shit that's available out there,
I
So,
don't know.
um,
LG, I don't know if you guys used to call it priority events, but I do feel like you're the first person I ever really, I would call you the godfather on it. Maybe other people were, maybe I just missed it, but uh, I don't think the average player can play more than 3 events. And so when you listen to a real nation leader, they have to prioritize 2 to 3 events. And I think you've always done a good job of it, man. So I think of you as the godfather kind of on that topic.
well, I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due, man. That's baby, and as much as I'm pretty open about where I learned from, and baby over at 255 is essentially the one who told me, focus in on a couple events, keep it together, because we were waiting for a merge for I feel like years, right? And it was tough to keep the morale going during that time. And so long story short is yeah, we were, focused in on these 2, 3 events. We always, showed up and did our best, and the rest I played every event, as the whale type player. I got rewards for the nation and gifts and all that dumb stuff to help out and all those things. But the long and short of it, the person who's not charging money on their credit card, again, they only have so much gold during a week that they're gathering and getting it, in their bags. So, and that can be gone in, just a handful of attacks on a Sunday void or, frenzy, a speed defense, a rain on a tower in polar, whatever it is, it just goes so fast for the free player. And as a leader, you have to consider all of those things, not to throw 255 under the bus, but like they have like I don't want to say quotas, but like a majority of their team, like they have to, for the most part, spend a little bit of money every month. Like I don't want to say a good amount, but there's probably some quotas in there. I don't know the numbers, but you got to spend some money there. And we have a team that's again 30-40%, like they don't have a credit card, or they don't spend it in this game anyway. They have a life and they have bills and kids and whatever else is going on. But they're super active and they're here doing their thing. So I think that summing it all up, there's so many little ways that you can focus in on events where you can bring the participation, bring the morale. It's kind of similar to what we were talking about with Woody a couple weeks ago when he was staying out of Alliance, doing all that dumb shit. It was no, man, like you're gonna drag the morale down of your entire nation. Like you're gonna lose player after player. These are all things that are probably just gonna happen organically. So in 425 during that merger wait time, we just focused in on a couple of events, and we liked Void and Elite War, and a couple of other things that have popped up, over the years. So I think those priorities have changed, and that's cool too. But you do need to focus because the person who's not charging on their credit card cannot, and I repeat, cannot play all events. They can enter the event probably once, not the second time, but the first time, and they can send some troops out, you know, and they can, create a couple of attacks or kill the zombie guys in Chaos Land, and they can get their boxes for the most part, and during those events. But man, they gotta, hold that bag, because you're gonna need it against, whatever Ronaldo in fucking Elite War or whatever. You're gonna need it, and I hate the I'm out of gold Alliance chat message or I'm out of heals, like I have 100,000 troops left, like I don't want to fucking hear that, you know, like I do not want to fucking hear that. So, it's just one of those things where if you can be consistent with it, then organically people should be able to, for the most part, save a bag, because it goes quick, especially if there's something going haywire, we watched it today in Woody's Elite War, that fucking snake, it's like, go, 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 go. That thing was like 4 miles long, So it's stupid stuff like that. Today we had Elite War with like 278 SVS or something along those lines. And they're like ranked 20th. I feel like we knew it would kind of be easy. Um, and like one of the first moves that the other team made was they like went south. Instead of coming up the middle, they just like were just doing random shit because they knew they were gonna get beat fairly quickly. And my Elite War fucking and Johnny Coyle, my Elite War leader, he fucking he told the team to go after them. Like kind of like what happened on Woody's thing today. And I was just like, what the fuck was that? I was like, hey, when you guys are done with your fucking Sunday stroll, can you just walk to the fucking base, please? You know? And because I don't like that, if once you let the leash off a little too much, you just make yourself look stupid the next time. If you do that same thing against 255, like our base is going to be on fire in 3 minutes, you know? So him and I had a little talk after that, and I think we're good in the grand scheme of things. But like if you can pick your two, 3 events, I think 2, 3 is the number. I've been around long enough to where I think 4 is a stretch. And if it was necessarily a priority for you, you're going to lose eventually. Just because you can't
LG,
keep it going.
LG, I want to go more aggressive. I think you're not only right, but if people can't tell you what their 2 events are, then that nation is suspect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that also means that they're relying on their whales. Like, and again, just put 255 in a corner somewhere. And I know we don't put baby in the corner, but we're going to put 255 off the table because they're, kind of a unicorn in this particular sense. But yes, I agree that if you're all over the events, that just tells me that there's 3 or 4 players winning those events for you. It's not the team concept. It's more of the whale carrying the nation concept. That's my experience anyway. Unless you drop a nation number, I could probably talk a little shit about it. But like at the end of the day, in a general way, I feel like that's the way it works. Maybe Tip can say a little bit, but in reference to that, because I feel like he would know, probably Bird as well. But like in the grand scheme of things, I would feel like that would be the correct thing to say. Or unless it's 785, because 785 is a little bit different as well in that regard.
No, I started to fall victim to this mistake. I started to fall victim of like we're merged now and people are excited about everything and we started to try to play everything and we got
Oh no.
yeah, we got surprised. We got surprised in GC. We lost head of state. Head of state I wasn't actually surprised about it at all. But like we're not you don't just suddenly merge and become amazing, right? That's a crazy idea. So
Oh yeah. Crazy.
yeah, and so I'm telling everyone now like yeah, no, it would have been super awesome if we merged and became amazing at everything, but unfortunately that's not how it works. So let's get back to focusing on what we're good at and then we'll try to grow from there. That's where I'm at.
And that's, and thank God you found that information within the first 30 or so days, because I think a lot of nations, especially fresh off of a merge, do the same thing. That when we got our second merge, I kind of knew we were going to be favorites to, win some stuff and things of that nature. But the moment I figured out that we wouldn't be making a quote super alliance, right? um, then I think it changed a little bit for preparation and planning. And with that being said, you have to consider the bottom half of the board or the bottom 30% of the board. And in 425's case, we have a good amount of players that aren't charging on the credit card. So I have to plan for them, and I'm not going to ask them to leave, so I have to plan for them. And so fresh into a merge for us, again, when I knew that we weren't going to create that, everybody super alliance stuff, we had to plan. And so, yeah, as soon as we had a merger, we had events, and the great thing about, 504 when they merged with us, they had the they kind of like we absorbed them. Like our third alliance is like their top alliance from that nation, I guess you'd call it. So like all the majority of the good players got absorbed by us and the Asian alliance over there, Mott. So for GFK, the moment they kind of just fell into our schedule. It's like we had this priority, we had that priority. Hey guys, this is what it was one of our predicates when we brought players in is I need you to be able to show up for events between these hours. And if you can say yes, then you'll be considered type shit. So and at that time, it was, Void and Elite War. I kind of gave you guys my schedule with the, Dangle and the, Zombie Uprise and all those kind of style of things. But I thought it was a great way prior to being merged to keep everybody together on Sunday, to, keep the morale up and, kind of like that old show Cheers. Everyone's to know your name. You can show up at a certain place at a certain time, and you should be welcomed. So we were able to keep morale up during that time. And when we got merged in and essentially absorbed the other, players into our squad and, our schedule. So we kept the same things and, we just started spreading the information, and I'd like to think that, there was a good handful of players that, became, hyper motivated during that time to, whatever, regrow their city or, go find a new city, whatever it is. I was going to ask you that, Holbrook, since you guys, did, finish merging up and things. Have you seen any exchanging of cities going on and, people getting a little bit more motivated to potentially, go to the next level? Are you seeing any of that action happening?
I mean, for us, it's a different thing, right? We've optimized participation. And so when people join the alliance, they literally still don't even believe it. Even though they've seen a video or whatever, or they've seen the numbers or whatever they want to look at, they don't believe that it's really what it is. And so, what I promised everyone before the merge was if you stick with me before the merge, then after the merge, I will if you show up, then I'll make sure you still have a spot. And so like, we had 98 for Polar on Tuesday and people just still don't believe it, like they do end up joining and finding the one spot and they don't believe that we really bring 98 and then they show up and they play the event and they're like, okay, all right, I have to put it on light mode, I guess, because that's how many people are attacking.
That's amazing. Yes. But what I was more alluring to is players individually, are you seeing exchanging of cities for people becoming more motivated if they were like maybe a C36 and maybe a C38's for sale or available, they're trying to move up and kind of motivate themselves in that regard. Are you seeing any of that action? Or is everybody just sticking and staying?
No, we do that for sure. That happens automatically, to be honest. It's just if there's a good city available, that thing disappears real quick. You can't find a city in 785 for sure. There's people that just show up and ask. They're not going to have any luck, but there are people that are just constantly asking in the nation. Like when things are going well, it's exciting. People want to have a good time.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I agree 100%. When it's exciting, there's a good breeding ground for people to come in, have fun. There's no bullshit. There's no whatever. It's a good time, that's for sure. It's one of the main reasons why I still play the game is that specific camaraderie.
I mean, if I'm
So,
being
Liga, let
honest,
me
I
ask
do
you this.
feel like
Oh, go ahead, no, bro.
I'll just say real quick. I do feel like every nation has kind of its time, its window, and we have to take advantage of where we are. We're not going to be 425, but we're kind of still young-ish. Once we get old, we're never going to be 61, so that's going to be a problem. So, I think where we're at now is just trying to have the most fun we can while we can for that window, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100% makes sense. You got to, because you never know what's going to come down the pike. You never know what Camel's going to do to kind of flip the game on its head. So yeah, I mean, when the time's right, man, you got to strike. it's one of those things where, you know, you got to do that in and out of the game, you know. So, yeah, 100%, man, take advantage, you know, the best you can. You know, whether that's GC, Elite War, Polar, blah blah blah. You know, we're gonna see you on Tuesday, so more will be revealed there. But in a general way, I think that you guys, you know, are on that line of being new or old, right? You know, I think once you get to that halfway point is when you get old, you know, so you're getting close. But you know,
We're the guy we're there. 700s are now considered to be old.
I agree, and that's why I kind of use like the 850 number, you know, as a kind of like a KPI in my head. Maybe even like the 900, you know,
Yeah,
is like the line in the sand for me.
about 900 is right where they're at right now. They're considered to be old or new old.
But then you have like 904 in there, and like they aren't a new nation; they're like an old nation, but like has a new nation number. So, you know, there's a couple of things in there that say different, but yeah, I mean, in a general way, I mean, I feel like you know, your squad over there, Holbrook, is you know, just going to continue to grow, man. And I think prior to any of those things, you really need to, you know, kind of take advantage of the time now, because you know, I'd like to think there's going to be some mergers still, and you know, and however that takes effect, it takes effect. But you know, kick
Well,
ass
no, and
until somebody dethrones you, right?
LG, one thing you keep forgetting, he's not double merged, he's triple merged. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm giving others hope. Not saying
Yeah,
it's going to
I
happen,
mean,
but there's hope.
there's only a couple of those out there, you know.
Albrecht is one of them. He's one of the triple nations. He's very lucky.
I think people need to understand that even 785 had their time to where they had to go through some struggles. Like they didn't get handed nothing. They worked for what they got right now. Like every nation goes through a struggle, but you know, like for instance, them losing those 4 Vegases, that was huge. And Holbrook in company, they powered through that.
That is a unique struggle that, at least to my awareness, no other nation has had to go through. Like,
Yeah.
it, in some ways, it's stunning that we're talking about 785 as not a dead nation, and it's even more incredible, you know, the success that they were able to create. I mean, it's a truly unique nation in my view.
It's just great lead, man. That's just, you know, let's
Yeah.
just call a spade a spade. You know, the leadership team over there in 785 was able to pull together and keep people accountable. And then I'm not saying killing people, but you know, like in a general way, they held the team accountable, and they were able to do their thing, man. You know, so that's not able to be done without great leadership. You know, and I don't think there's any, you know, good teams out there without great leadership. Not good leadership, not like, oh, like I like my leader, he's cool, you know, like he taught me the 11198, you know, like whatever. So like not that guy, but like real true leadership, you know, leadership team. You know, there's a good hand. I'm not going to sit here and name names and nation numbers, but you guys know what's good out there and what's fucking not. And you know, the fact that there's 4 banger cities over there. The top 4 cities in that nation before Holbrook won the lotto. I'm kidding. You know, like dude, those are fucking just sitting in a corner somewhere. That's like taking me, mental, fucking Nismo, fucking salted, and just we all just don't log in anymore, you know, and expect a nation of with you know to withstand that. I don't think 425 would be able to you know come out the end the same way, you know, 785 did. But I also don't think Vegas was the leader, which is great, you know. You know, he may have, I mean, leader, he was maybe leader via wallet, you know, but he wasn't the one doing anything behind the scenes. He wasn't keeping the fucking threads together, or any of those things, you know. So, you know, I think that a lot has to be said about the leadership team of 785, or any good nation, great nation out there. You know that's out there winning some events in a very serious way. You know those things don't get done without great leaders. You know, look at like Ronaldo. I'll just continue to use him as an example. You know, it's two whale cities. You know, like after that, like what do they got? You know, they got a bunch of squishies, you know, so that doesn't help, you know. I think that their team continues to just disappear because they're not led well, you know. And when your leader just fucking takes the runs the bus right into the brick wall, you know, I think that those are not great things for nations. But when leaders are, you know, fucking picking these kids up for school and patting them on the ass on the way out and sending them to fucking school with their fucking freshly made muffins, right? Holding their hand, whatever happens, right? Those are the things that make things great, you know. So, shout out 785's leadership team, and you know, you guys keep it together, and all the great nations out there with great leaders, you know, not just whale cities, and you know, not just a couple of guys spending too much money on this game, but people that are really in this thing, putting in time. You know, Big Bird was talking about the spreadsheets and the, you know, the I've been, you know, on the fly on the wall for the Big Bird and Holbrook talking hours in the mantras chat, you know, about dumb shit randomly. You know, it's like I just open the chat and it's these two numb nuts with 200 messages inside of fucking 14 minutes, you know. And but that's what makes the game great. And that, you know, forget about the friendships and the community, but like that information going back and forth. Holbrook's reaching out to, you know, a player, a leader from you know, one of the great nations of this game, and you know, and gathering that information. But he's not just talking, right? Holbrook's taking the information, and he's putting it into direct action, you know, which again just shows great leadership. It's like, okay, that works, perfect. Now do it here, you know, and people are following suit, you know. And when that happens, and you can see it happening, right? Like you can't do anything but say, okay, all right, those guys are led well, you know. And when you get your ass beat by somebody, you know, it's like, okay, those guys are led well, you know. And that's especially when the good teams get beat. Like you can't beat 425 unless you're fucking led well, you know. Like you just can't,
Yeah.
in my opinion. You know, like you have to be led well or super, you know, whatever, like following rules and super committed. But anywho, like at the end of the day, they got great leaders, and there's probably, you know, 10 or 12 nations out there with great leaders. You know, so take heed to that information. There's not a lot of them. You know.
Well, let's talk about what makes a great leader. Um, like a leader, they have to make that decision that no one wants to make. I think people need to understand. In Holbrook's case, and yeah, I am going to use 785. Holbrook knew what he had to do to get his nation back on track after certain events happened with the troll and so on and so forth, or the Civil War. They were, I'm not even going to call it a Civil War, but he knew what he had to do to get his nation back on track. Picking certain events, try to get everyone down to uh, two alliances. You know, he had to make that sacrifice, and when he did it, there was a 50-50 chance it was going to work or not work. You know, and that's unfortunately that sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes you make a decision to do better, and it blows up in your face. One thing I will say that I've noticed about 785 is it was never about recruiting the whales. It was about recruiting the active players that will show up on times that need to be there, and that is like one of the most successful things that you can do. Yeah, it's good to pick up a whale. It's really good, especially if they're active. But if you can get, let's say you pick up two whales and you pick up 15 active players, those 15 active players, I think anyone can say that they would take over any whale. Like a whale can only do so much. So, yeah, we are patting Holbrook.
What is
True.
what is the
I think a
resistance
leadership
to?
team. Oh, sorry. I'll let you go, man.
Give me 1 second. What is the resistance to creating, you know, a super alliance basically, and then an academy, or you know, the secondary alliance? especially for nations that are, older like us, the 700s. The if you look at active nations, there's what, probably, I don't know. What do you guys think? There's 30% active nations of all the nations that are out there that are actually
Uh,
super competitive.
yeah, probably 30%. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, so if you are in an active nation, why would you be resistant to actually doing that? Because otherwise, you're not ever going to win anything without doing it. I still don't. I've never understand that not wanting to do that.
Because this,
LG, do you want
some
to lead
people,
off or shall I?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I
Well,
think
I
I
mean,
feel like
I
yeah.
I get it, but it just you know what I mean? I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, all
this
right.
is,
There's, sorry, you go, LG. You're. This is closer to home for you. You're the expert on this.
So I'll just use, using my nation as an example. First and foremost, if it's all dependent upon nation, right? But if you're merging anytime soon, so for 425 specifically, not only would it have taken pressure to get my number two alliance to merge with me, may or may not have created a little bit of a civil war if I were to have said, oh, like we need to merge or like we're going to war. So it probably would have taken that to really like push these guys to merge prior, for them to come to us prior to us getting merged. But I think as a leader, I didn't do that. But I think as a leader, the reason why I didn't do that is when we were going to merge, and if we did have a super alliance and we merged maybe a week or 2 months or 3 months, however long later, you're going to immediately go break up that quote super alliance you just made and go make another super alliance, So I think that's a little too selfish as a leader, to continue to force people to come do something for you, i.e., merge, create a super alliance because that's what you want, um, and then speed it up 3 6 months later, get some fresh meat, and then you're doing the same thing all over. You're building those relationships, and then essentially going through whatever it is you had to go through, to just turn around and ask them to leave the alliance all over again. Again, I just didn't think it was the best way to create a place where everybody felt at home and welcome, right? Um, but if I wasn't getting merged anytime soon, that would be completely different. Let me
Okay,
just
well, we're
predicate
second
with that.
merged. I'll use us just because I know our thing. We are twice merged. We aren't. I mean, there's a possibility, yes, but it's slim of another merger. You know,
Yeah, so then you guys should be either in civil war or a super alliance.
correct. And that's basically your two choices.
Yeah, that's it. And if
And
you're
I
not,
mean,
then
we
you just
already
suck.
have a really good alliance where we have high numbers of activity, but it could be better. It always could be better.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, again, I would attempt to, create a place where the other players, would want to, join you and, leave where they are. The unfortunate part is you're trying to, break up feelings and friends and all those nice, warm, fuzzy things. And there's probably some farmers involved and things of that nature. So, like again, ultimately, you have two choices. Make a super alliance. Well, there's three. There's a super alliance with as much activity, or you have civil war, or you just lose a lot, and then you start losing more and more players every month or so, and that's what I have both sides. I have 425 and 357. 357, we went into civil war for this exact reason. We're now out of civil war. We're not fighting, but we just lose everything. So it's like it's not even fun. I barely log in anymore in 357. You know? So it's yeah, there's only so much you can do there.
So other than Hallbrook, have you guys noticed just a kind of a general exodus of people from the game? From not just a single alliance, but a couple alliances?
I mean, I feel like a lot of nations are wanting to, or a lot of players, I should say, are not wanting to, wait on camels. I mean, look at all these self-made mergers you got going on now. You got 550 and 621. You got six whatever 19 and 567. You got all these style of things going on because people are fucking fed up. And go back to what we said week one of mantras is, listen, man, if your nation sucks, blah, 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 merge, you still suck, and whatever. And not to say that 717 sucks, just saying in general way, you should probably pick up shop and head up on out of there. Because if the nation itself as a whole doesn't want to work together and get better, because the second alliance, right, should be able to see that, you can get better. Maybe you should stop winning a couple of events so the second alliance, nation events, so the second alliance can see, that you guys need help. It's like, oh, hey, why did we lose this head of state? Oh, well, we need fucking participation. Fucking merge with us, So there's like some
Right.
junky stunts you can like do, to kind of promote, what you're looking for without, civil war. But ultimately, it's like you pick a box, pick a door, and go from there. But leadership should be able to at least, test the waters on, why you can't bring on active players from the other alliance. If they're just saying no, fuck you, we're not merging, like we don't like you, we're not going to win, blah blah blah. Like they're just going to civil war, man. It makes the game more fun. I think.
It does sharpen the sword. I will say that.
I mean, we
I
did
think
357 Civil War for about a year. I put the sword down with these guys, just because, nobody had any troops left, other than like one or two people. And, we were losing players too in 3-5 in our alliance in KTA. So, it was easier to put the sword down. So now we do like this, they come to hang out with us on Sundays, for Void or Frenzied to try to help out in, quote nation events. But, sometimes that doesn't necessarily help or work, So at the end of the day, if everybody's not on the same page in your nation, then you should probably leave,
Okay.
I think some of the key points there, if you are going to try and make it work, is like you got to figure out what the reason is for the no, and then you got to figure out a way around that reason. I mean, one of the things you can do is like living well is the best revenge. Like if the first alliance is more successful, then maybe you don't push the super alliance right away, but you just be a little bit more successful, and you start putting some seeds of thought into the second alliance. Like imagine what we could do together. Like we just had this big win in X event. Like imagine what we could do together, or we just had a close loss. Like you got to figure out a
I'll
way
just
to get
tidbit on
everybody
that.
excited about that.
I'll just tidbit,
go
not to
for it.
cut you off. That's the main reason why I share my Elite Wars on Nation Chat. It's the main reason.
Yeah.
So they see.
Yep.
It's the main reason. And I've been doing that for a long time, and I don't necessarily love putting strategies and stuff like that out there, but it promotes the, oh, look what they're doing over there. Like they're, and they're either going to do better for themselves, which is what my second alliance did, right? Again, they're getting 60 or 70 to show up for many events now. Or they're going to want to come do what you're doing. So one of two things are going to happen if you're able to promote some of those things and, get under their, get in their wheelhouse a little bit.
But it definitely has to be about activity, man. Like a strong city that doesn't show up is worthless. Literally
Yes, it
worthless.
is.
So
Yeah,
true.
and if you've got some strong cities, Crash, who are not participating in the events that you want to show off, have some conversations with those guys and be like, hey, can we throw a driver in there for some events? Like either they'll, fund their own way for for gold for speeds, or you just agree to like free play it, but some sort of agreement. It's like, hey, we want you to be in events. It's going to benefit you because you're going to get some merit at, you know, no cost in time or money to yourself. And like you can build up some activity with some motivated leaders trying to work out some of those things. Like Elite
So we
Wars,
have-
you know, you drop
We
drop
have
the
in our
lower
own.
level city and base and go active with the big one, you know?
Right.
I also think that when you do share, you got to be careful who you share it with. Now, say for instance, if you ask a player like me to drive a city, you guys know I speed. So if it doesn't have a lot of speeds, a lot of gold, it's going to be hard for that kind of player that to play that kind of city.
Don't invite me if it's not stocked. Sorry,
Woody only
don't
needs
invite me.
20K
I'm just
gold, just so
poking
you
fun.
know. 20K gold is all Woody needs to win. Yeah.
For the first 4
Like,
minutes.
if you-
And some
not-
and some 25% speeds tip.
yeah. I had to
I'm,
throw
I'm
it-
Don't
like
leave
you,
that
Woody. When I
heel
say
bag
target,
low, though.
I'm hitting it until I get there.
Yeah, like it's hard for a whale to jump into a city, even from a different nation, and not act the same way they do with their own city. Now, if you invite someone that's
Oh, it's
my player,
impossible.
or yeah, it's impossible. Like this morning, I'm during my live. I straight up said, okay, I'm not gonna speed. 10 seconds later, I'm fucking speeding. Like,
This is why I won't play in other people's cities. When people ask me to play in their cities, I'm like, I don't understand how. I'm not capable. I only know how to play the way I know how to play.
right, what is slow? I don't know.
Yeah, it's your fault, Woody. We're blaming you.
Dude, I get blamed for everything. For instance, I did a GC. I did a GC in 904 and helped out. And they said, go ahead, use the speed, use the gold, whatever. 2 million gold later in one round.
Good God.
Yeah.
Good
like,
Lord, Woody.
yeah, I do feel bad. But I was told to, and I was fine. Like, they said go all
No,
out.
no. I'm just acknowledging the work you were putting in. You were putting in work to go through that much. That's awesome. They were lucky to have you.
But I mean, you gotta understand that like that nation, that's the kind of gameplay they're up at. You know, like for instance, if Lee God said, "Hey, come to 425 and run Mental City," you know, they already know that it's that kind of caliber kind of player. That's what they're probably not expecting 2 million to be used, but they're expecting everything that's in that bag.
That's
to
fucking
be
pocket.
available.
That's fucking pocket change for mental, bro.
I know. I'm saying
It is
in
for
general.
mental, but for most people, that's an extreme.
Yeah, I'm just
I'm
talking
just saying.
shit. It was a
Like,
few
It's like
Elite Wars
that's a
ago.
Tuesday afternoon on the boat.
I said to Mental right before the Elite War, I forget who we were playing, but there was someone fairly easy, and I was like, all right, guys, let's practice, time, using the game clock, blah blah blah. Let's just like move as one. This is gonna be easy, free, and I'm like, I'm like Mental, let's walk with the team. And Mental's like, I can't do that. he literally said, I don't know how to do that. And he just, and it's sure as shit, as soon as poof, gone.
the gun gets
Next-
shot like race.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the battle's over, and then you hit a brick wall late.
Mental's
Oh,
battle ends right before.
Yeah, that's usually how Camel works it out for you.
So I was
Yep.
playing. I was playing in 567's nation against Wasteland against 858 Light Show, and I was playing underneath the Razzle Poppy City at that point. And I'm sure Light Show remembers the whole fucking thing. Dude, I went through a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but we got that win, and man, 858. There will be a video. I recorded the whole thing. I just gotta commentate it still. Um, it was a fucking good show. It was a good show up by 858. Like, I don't think people, like even you, League, I don't think you understand. Like, when you go up against 858 and those kind of fixed matches that they chose, like that's one of their events that they go heavy on. Man, dude, they come like with the whole shaft balls and everything. They're coming like they mastered that event. They're good. Like to give 567 that fucking kind of a headache during Wasteland. I'm not calling it a headache, but you know what I mean. Like they showed up. It wasn't a slow walk to the other side. No, they showed the fuck up the
Oh, I
entire
know.
time.
We played them a few weeks ago, whatever it was, and they monkey punched us. You know, I had to tell the team the same way I told the team against 567. Stand down. You know, like whale players, yeah, go get your merit, do your thing, but stand down, man. Like these guys are prepared, you know. And reviewing that particular battle with against 858, not only do they come with numbers, but they're the top 15 or 20 are motivated players, you know.
Yeah.
That whatever that means to you, whether it's spending money or activity or what, but they're motivated players to where just based off of the rankings alone, you're like, all right, man, those guys are doing their thing, like respect to them, can't do anything but tip your cap to that, so
I think the biggest thing that
like 425 is not one of those nations where I'm going to press people.
I think the biggest thing that 858 has is that they recognize their enemy, they respect their enemies, and they use the enemy as part of their arsenal. So, for instance, if they were going against you, League God, they know you're the whale, they know Mental's the whale, and they're going to tag. They will not go one-on-one versus a whale. If you get locked in there, they're hitting you with 6, 7 people at least. Like they recognize and respect the enemy, and that right there is something that a lot of nations don't do, and they fail because they think that one whale can do it all when you can't. You recognize your enemy, you do your homework, and you take that as an advantage that you understand that nation.
You're totally right there, Woody.
Yeah.
One thing, give away maybe a little secret. I was working the bottom, and I'd see Omic coming, and I'd either get to a base and I'd retreat, or I'd recall, or I'd parachute. I did everything I could to avoid a fight with Omic, but still hold a base, because
Yeah.
that game is not about fighting; it's about holding bases.
Yep.
And we would pull a bunch of bases back, and all of a sudden, hey, look, our score per minute is going up. So yeah, it was avoiding those fights with those whales, because if Omic came by himself, we didn't stand a chance. If he came with some of the other guys, then that stat averaging helped and we could win. But if
Yeah.
he came by himself, or you came by yourself, or Tip came by himself, we couldn't even. It would take like 6 or 7 us to beat one of you guys. But if you came with help, we could beat you with like 4 or 5.
That's true. It's true.
So
Understand.
yeah,
Yeah,
was-
if you can
it was
keep
a-
if you can keep the whales tied up in whatever game it is, the nature of keeping the whales tied up, and I'm sure a lot of the opponents of 425, it's like, oh, like quote, stay away from lead god, or in certain events like tie them up, blah 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 blah. I think that it's a great strategy, but I do think that when you're working in numbers like that, like you said, you can pop in with 5 or 6, You know, like a lot of the times, or a lot of squad shit, even 425, like I don't know that there's 6 players using teleports in 425 just because like we don't personally prioritize Wasteland currently. Like we flipped Wasteland for Polar, here recently. So like right now, I don't know that I even have 6 people that are using teleports. It's probably 3 or 4 of us that are using teleports if I'm shooting you straight, you know? So like the when you're that motivated and you guys are prioritizing specific events, and you guys can pop in like that and rile up the whale, or the numerous ones, like using 567 as an example. If you can tie up a couple of those guys at the same time, you could definitely work the lower half of their, the rest to their squad. But just the fact that you guys were able to, get, 3, 4,000 points against them in that particular event, it says a lot. But I'm also sure it wasn't cheap, and I say this with respect to both nations, you guys should stop, wasting your bag on each other. I think you'll both advance a little bit, further on, if you just come up with some sort of agreement since you see each other so much, because it's not worth it, to spend all that and get 3,000 points, because I know you guys worked hard today, to or whatever day it was, to get those, 3, 4,000 points. So, I would suggest prioritizing a little bit differently, or just talking to the boys over there in 567, because I'm sure they'll give you a couple of towers to get your 3, 4,000 points for free.
That is true. And give
There
you
you
set
go.
up to where you could get merit, and set it up to where you could get your merit levels, which I think
Yeah,
is what
you
people
got.
should do.
So all those things should be considered, in the grand scheme, because it's like we said earlier, like me and Holbrook, with 255, for Polar. It's like, if you want to spend a bag and, go at it for, a singular one, cool. But I know that I'm going to see him for the next 3 weeks. I don't want to do that for the next 3 weeks. Like my team can't sustain that, you know? So I'd rather step down and give you third than try and, fight you 3 weeks in a row like that, just because it's too much pressure, especially Polar, 3.5 minutes on the other side. It's like you're gonna get one speed attack out of your fucking, bottom half of my team. So, it's a lot less sweaty. You guys are, been around long enough, and created a really good environment over there in 858. And, I personally know the leadership team of 567 is pretty cool dudes. So I'm sure if you reached out to them, like Tip said, he'll get you some merit, get you some points. They won't give you the win, but, maybe, whatever. But, you hear what I'm saying? There's no reason to drop a bag like you guys did the other day. And I know you dropped the fucking bag.
Well, just like you see the video, you'll see it. Both sides dropped the bag,
I
not
know
just
how
one.
those guys play, man. Trust me, I recently played 858, and I know 567 like the back of my fucking hand. So, like those two squads going at each other is sweaty, man. It's sweaty. And there's no reason for that sweat, when there's no rival, no bad blood. There's no reason for that sweat, using 425 and 255 as an example. Baby and I made essentially deals like years ago. It's like there's no reason for us to, like, as much as we see each other, to like fucking continue to bang each other's heads against the wall. Clearly, you're the better squad, but like don't fucking be greedy. Like let me get in there. So, and it's been a lot. I mean, I know it's been a lot cheaper. Maybe it has dragged the morale down a little bit in 425. Doing it for so long. And if you ask Bayou if he's still there listening, like there's been a couple of times where it's like we just take the gloves off and go at it because we're fucking sick of getting our asses beat by them, and it's a great Polar, but we still lose, the outcome's the fucking same, but it doesn't feel as bad. You know what I'm saying? So like those things can all happen. There he is.
No, agreed. I think what we do is the smart thing to do. Anything we can do to make it easier on our free players is the way to go. And of course, us us people that don't have a spending limit, we can still spin around. I mean, there's still times that I'll see lead God and I was like, let me go hit a wall because, I need to get my head bashed in, so I still do that from time to time or mental. But it's all in fun.
Yeah, it's cool to take the gloves off every once in a while, but I think if we play 2-5-5 10 times, one of those times we'll fuck around a little bit, and it's not even the entire event, it's like 20 or 30 minutes of wasting our bag essentially, because again the outcome is still the same, right? And like using 858 and 567 as example, like you guys are seeing each other in Wasteland, you guys are seeing each other in Polar when 567 was in that other slot. There's I don't know if 567 is really trying to push up the ranks, so they've been being super dominant in Polar lately. So maybe it wouldn't have worked out in Polar, but I think there's 100% guarantee that you guys can work out something because you guys are clearly on the same time zone paths, for participation and when people like to play events. So you guys should definitely come up with something that doesn't just feed cash into Camel's pockets and will allow your free players not to speed into a fucking wall every so often.
Let me. So
Hey, look, at last Polar, when y'all went for the capital, I mean, we got really excited. There's like, hey, somebody's finally going after, S1. That's the first time in probably 6 months that's happened. And you guys didn't speed, so that allowed our free players to time it. And look, we were excited, we were happy, just to get that action. So we appreciate y'all doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it was, you know, eh, same exact thing. I asked, I think in the chat if where people were and things like that. And long and short of it is there are still plenty of people trying to open up that second and third box. So it's like, all right, well, go ahead and walk on S1, and there'll be plenty of players there to get a couple of points from. So, but yeah, all in good fun and definitely not in the breath of just week in and week out smashing your head against walls and emptying a bag. So I would definitely suggest that for the teams out there that are seeing each other week in and week out. Not saying make a deal, but you know whatever. You know how it is. Just fucking reach out. And then if you ever want to try and take the crown, man, all you got to do is reach back out. Hey, next week, no deal. Fucking gloves off. I'm coming at you. Fucking prepare the team, whatever. And, go from there. But, I would hate to see 858 and 567 banging each other's heads against the wall, trying to beat each other when, I'd rather see 858 spend that on, fucking Elite War against, I don't know, 171 or something like that, and so there's definitely just better angles and better ways to spend our gold and things like that, other than especially when the community's good and it's like your homeboys, like we're all in a fucking chat right now, like like you got that's crazy to hang up from this and log into the game on Tuesday just to blow a bag. So I would highly suggest that for you guys, and Tip already kind of, opened the door for you guys. So I'm sure your leaders will for reach out, but in a general way, all nations out there that are, finding that same fucking matchup every single week for whatever reason. There's probably clearly a winner at this juncture. There's no reason for you guys to blow that bag. I'm sure the other side will grab a few towers, get you some points, and have a couple of cool battles at a tower here and there to get your team some merit as well. So it's not just free and everyone just sitting there holding towers, because that's gay, right? You need some sort of action. So it is good that there's 2 or 3 other alliances there to typically play around with. I do kind of love when 255 engages the other side. There's a lot of times when they just kind of sit and let us do the heavy lifting. But when they start to engage, like they were fucking with 255, or excuse me, with 555 pretty heavy last week, to the point where like they didn't even come out of the little home base area. So I like when they get the little action going. But that's when we took advantage. I'm like, oh, they're going over there to take that alliance. I'm like, all right, guys, like leave for the capital now because they can't get back in time. But nope, you guys fucking came.
Is it true? Is it true that 425 and 255 are is there a? Are they going at EW? Are you guys going at EW?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give 255 a challenge. After next week, so next void. So it's like 3 weeks away, something like that. We're gonna the 25th, I believe it is.
Let me ask you. So while both 255 and you are on, if I can get the day off of work, or even if I can't and I have to, record, can it be aired, like video wise?
I mean, I would ask Baby, because I personally don't care, but that would be more of a Baby, question in my opinion. But in a general way, I don't personally care, but I may not have a seat, just
Right.
because.
Yeah, and I certainly would not be comfortable answering that question. That would really have to come from Baby.
Yeah, I mean that, like using the kind of what the podcast we had a few weeks ago with Bird and and Hawk and those guys, reaching out to Sin and stuff like that, and having the courtesy and respect, because they're clearly ahead of us and the better team, and we're trying to come at them, so I'm falling into their time and to their day and their place, and and maybe 255 doesn't like their tactics out there. I don't think I've ever really seen a video of 255 or 219 out there for Elite War. So I'm going to probably say it's going to be a no from Baby off the top of my head. But, and I would 100% respect that in every capacity. So, we're coming at them. They're the ones that are above us, trying to play it the right way, and see how it plays out. But I know the people would want to see it, but I think this is also just a little bit different with like the top four. I'm sure Big Bird can probably express to you that the probability of streaming the the Elite War against
No,
Sin
I'm not.
2 weeks
I'm not
ago would
talking
have been a
about.
no.
I'm not
You
talking
know,
about live. I'm not talking about live. Like I'm talking about like if you posted it in your nation chat and I went and just watched it and recorded it like that, like so you don't get to see
well,
all
yeah. I
the.
mean, regardless. I mean, and and I would tell Baby this. Regardless of outcome, it's going to be posted on my nation chat. That will happen. Just because like I kind of said earlier, we post our wins and our losses, and just whatever, so everybody can kind of see. It's more so for the nation, and for people to kind of get excited. But I personally don't have a problem with it. I'm all about the community because I'm one of those avid people. If I were in anybody else's shoes, I would want to watch, live, 255 versus 425. Even if it only was 3 minutes long, I would still pay a couple of bucks to see it. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm definitely of that capacity. But I do believe that, the top three or four, would probably say no, just in the, we got some tactics, we got some things that we don't necessarily want to put out there to the world per se. And the obviously the seat thing that we talked about earlier.
Right.
But
We can
if you just
also put it as Patreon only as well. So there isn't the entire game can't see it. Only very few people. Like a handful, like not even a handful, like maybe 60
I'll reach
people.
out to Baby. I'll reach out to Baby and run it by her. Like I said, I have an inclination that she's gonna, be like, just because I know Baby. But yeah, in a general way, I
You
feel.
got 1,000 Spy Cities in your nation already. So if you put it in nation chat,
What do
everybody's
you
gonna fucking see it anyway.
Yeah, no, I know that. I know that, and that's
I mean,
fine,
no
you
big
know. But
deal.
I would prefer that just because it's something that we always do, you know.
No,
And it's
and that's
definitely not
awesome.
anything that,
Hey, probably can see.
and it wouldn't be us, you know. Like even if we won, it wouldn't be us, you know, trying to brag or anything like that. It would just, you know, this is what we do. We post our wins and our losses, you know, because again, as a
That's
leader, I
awesome.
think it allows us to grow. You know, we try and you know, learn something from it and all the above, and yeah, and you know, like to also think that if you do got some spy cities in 425, you know, some other people in other nations are, you know, taking heed to some of the tactics or, you know, some of the ways we win or lose, and you know, maybe implement them. Like I'm okay with that. You know, I'm cool with that. I'm that type of individual, but maybe baby's a little bit different, and I want to respect her because she's the leader of the better nation. So you know,
I will say that if baby says no, then it won't go on my channel. If she says, because I got her guys' nation, so I mean, obviously, if a different
yeah, I
YouTuber,
think everybody in the
that's not channel.
everybody respects baby, and you know, and all the above. So you know, we'll see. You know, we got a few weeks to kind of work on it. I'll shoot her a DM and ask her what she thinks, and I'll get back with you, Woody, and we'll talk about it sometime this week, I'm sure. But yeah, I believe it's the 25th off the top of my head, which is essentially 3 weeks from today. No, yeah, the 25th, Sunday.
I got me looking at
So
my camera. I mean, it
yeah,
definitely would not be
it's
live.
not like challenged just yet, just because you know we don't have the slot available. But after this coming week, I'll go ahead and give them a challenge. Maybe one of you smart nerds out there can tell me how many points I'll lose if we do lose. You know.
A lot.
I don't feel like doing that. No, I mean I feel like it's better if I challenge somebody above me and I lose because I feel like that's supposed to happen in a general way.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
the
you'll
algorithm,
lose less reaching up than you will reaching down.
yeah,
I don't know
okay,
what the
right.
points will be, but
Yeah,
it'll be
it's like 300.
less.
It's probably like
It'll
300
be
points.
less. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about 3 to 350 for a loss. You know,
Yeah.
something along those lines.
It's not a huge amount, but yeah,
Well, the good news is 255 monkey stomps on 555. They like point Horem, so I got a couple of thousand. Like I got a little bit of a buffer right now, so I won't lose ranking or anything like that.
right. That's pretty nice.
But if we win, man, those points will be sweet, boy. Them points will be nice, nice.
Yeah,
You know.
you're 2,200 points up on 555.
Yeah, so we got a nice little, you know, and that's the main, you know, I don't want to say the main reason, but it was definitely one of the factors of, all right, guys, you know, this is what your New Year looks like. I should take some screenshots of the thread in you know, whatever, the little after Christmas before New Year's. What are you guys looking forward to? Text, and there's a bunch of rise in the ranks of Elite War, and my response is, well, to do that, you got to go through 255, and everyone just started putting X, you know? Yeah. So all right, let's get it. Let's give it a shot, man. So I think the team I'd like to think that the team's gonna get a little motivated and you know, and try to give them a good run for their money. Cause yeah, there would be some pretty good points if we were able to pull it off somehow, some way. Um you know, kind of go from there. But if we lose, I think that we're gonna, you know, wait a little while and give this a similar challenge to Sin. You know, just because the team wants to advance, so we're gonna have to pick a door. We got to pick a door. So, and I think just because we see 255 so much that you know the team just you know wants to give them a run for their money, see what it's about. So I think it'll be good regardless, and I'm excited. So yeah, a few weeks away, and more will be revealed. You know, I'm sure we'll talk about it. You know, in the weeks leading up.
I didn't mean to throw you guys
But
like
in
under
the
the
grand
bus like
scheme of
that.
things, I think and at least 425 anyway. I think we're excited.
Again, I didn't mean to throw you guys underneath the bus like the answer right now kind of question. But I mean, you know just as well as I do. Everyone wants to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very similar to what just happened with like 621 and 219. It's like everyone wanted to see it, but no one's seen it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could answer like if 61 was involved in this elite war, I feel like I can't make that decision, but I can guess what the answer is going to be. And I think for us, it would probably be no. But we'll see what you hear back, LG.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm in baby's position, I'm like, but I'm in my position, like I'm the underdog. You know what I'm saying? So like I welcome, the
Yeah,
whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I welcome the anything to draw motivation. You know what I'm saying?
for
As a
sure,
leader,
man.
whatever you want to call it. I'm just looking to draw motivation in any capacity. But if I'm baby, I'm like just like kind of Conor McGregor, fucking who the fuck is that guy? Like who the
Yeah.
so
Plus, knowing
like I
if it
literally
if
see
it's
that
gonna
in my
be
head, you know.
plus knowing if it's gonna be recorded and shown, obviously people will drop more in their bag, and like you said before, it's not about how much you can drop; it's about how much you can save your other players.
Yeah, I mean we just spent a little bit of a bag in Polar and some other events, and the essentially the message to the team is okay, and I haven't, and I'll probably put it out in the next day or so. I really haven't even said this to the Alliance just yet, just because we're a few weeks away, but you know literally, the next few weeks, like nothing should matter to us. That's why I say to, Holbrook, like, bro, I'll take third. I don't give a fuck because I'm not trying to drop a bag, on Tuesday. I got Elite War against 255 in 3 weeks. Like, respectfully, like, I'm not trying to, do that to my team right now. So
I want
all
everyone
all
to
those things
understand
are
what
considered, you
I
know?
want everyone I want everyone to understand what you just said. 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, they have 255. Or no, you said 3 to 4 weeks. They have 255. Guys, they are saving up for nearly a month for one day. So, with that being said, if you're like, we'll just use this as GC. If you are going to be participating and try to take a win, if you're hearing league guys say 2 to 3 weeks saving up a bag, letting people win for a different event because they're going to go really hard in a different event. I think that should be a light shown and an understanding that if you choose one event that you're going to go heavy on, it takes that long of saving.
I mean, especially when there's so many events. I mean, we kind of touched on this earlier in the pod tonight before you came in, Woody, just like prioritizing things and, the fact that we have a good amount of, free players, like again, it's just so easy to drop the entire bag for a free player inside of, 30 minutes of any event. So those particular players have to be, really riled and, reined up and know what they're doing. And yeah, I mean, and nothing for nothing, I'll guarantee you after if this elite war is to have any type of length to it time wise, I can guarantee you it'll drain the bags of 70% of my alliance. Maybe more. Maybe even higher than that. So and we still might lose. Like all of those things are on the table. So it's a push, and yeah, I mean, you literally have like we can't play any other event. Like sure, the whales can kind of tinker around. I'll play, and I'm sure Mental will play, and a couple of others, but a majority of the players in 425, like again, that's a. I mean, we all know, maybe we don't, but an elite war like that is, 100,000 gold, like for every player, like for real, like every player, plus heals, plus whatever else. But, obviously if you're using gold, that means all of your speeds are also gone, so like these are all things that need to be considered, so, it's yeah, we have to put everything else kind of on a side burner because it's too much, and it's the end of the season, so it's like a lot to consider. But the moment I saw GC get released, and again, kind of taking the the temperature of the alliance, this is where they wanted to go. So okay, if this is what you guys want, like let's see if this is what you really want. Because as a leader, I get to use it as a twofold coin. It's like if they show up, if they do really well and lose, it's like okay, we're just not there yet. Keep pushing. If we win, holy shit, look what we did. Blah blah blah. But if we get our asses kicked, like in 2 or 3 minutes or sub 10 minutes, call it, if we get our asses kicked and the bases burned quickly, this is something I get to draw motivation from. Like, hey, I fucking told you, motherfuckers. This okay. Now you ready to listen? This is what we need to do. Da 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 da. And now as a leader, I just got 3 or 4 months of pure motivation. And then we get to give them another run. Whatever that looks like 4 or 6 months later. So these are all like, as a leader, the way I think anyway. What am I going to get out of this, and so I think, again, and like I said in the very beginning, I think regardless of outcome, I think it'll be great for GFK. We're going to learn from it, we're going to gain something from it, and we're going to get better. So I'm anxious to get out there and see who really shows up. Like that's the like, again, I have anxiety already to see what that is. Because again, we got about 15 players that, it's flip a coin whether or not they're coming or not. And I wonder if, hey, we're fighting 255. If that makes it like they come. Like every. So I'm anxious to see all those things. So more will be revealed. Yeah, but when you're winning Elite War, essentially week in and week out in sub 5 minutes, that's not fun, right? And if that is a weekly thing, like it has been in 425 for quite some time now, there's really not been any true tests. It's I don't want to say it's defeating, but it definitely drags the morale down a little bit, I feel like. And then less and less people come because they don't need you. It's like, hey, we're burning the base with fucking the Mayday team in the first 3 minutes. It's like I don't even need to show up. So those are the the things or the quarrels that we as leaders have to kind of deal with on a weekly basis.
LG, I just have one request for you. For your own safety, I request that you have your doctor or nurse there checking your blood pressure the entire time.
Yeah, right. It's
because you're about to pop a blood vessel and it's not even your EW.
Yeah, I mean, these are
I can only imagine how it's going to be with 255 for you in the heat
oh
of the
yeah,
moment.
man, it's gonna be great. My blood's gonna be
for sure.
I'm gonna get. I'll show you guys. I wear a Whoop. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's one of those things you wear on your wrist, right? So I wear one of those like fucking things that monitor your life essentially, and
Gotcha.
so I'll make sure I send you the screenshot of the reading for that hour.
I want to see before you start, during
Yeah,
it,
yeah, I
and
got
after.
you. I'll try my best to take a screenshot. No, it's a little bit different than an Apple Watch, but yeah, it's like an Aura ring, if you know what that is. It's just one of
Oh,
those
you know what? I
things
saw
that.
one of those today,
Like a
actually.
cock ring kind of thing.
Listen, Woody, and your assless chaps, bro. We're not trying. We know you're trying to promote your OnlyFans over here, and your fucking assless chaps. But we're good, bro. All right, this
I'm
isn't the
joking.
crowd for that. Okay.
I'm joking.
Those
That
rings
shit's
have
only for the
some.
fucking AOO server. All right, that's for camel server. That gay shit stays over there. Okay.
Those rings have some cool IP attached to them. They've got some interesting patents covering those rings. They're pretty cool. I know what you're talking about, LG.
All right, Yeah, agree. Totally agree. And that's a, straight out of Holbrook's, recipe book there. If you build it, they will come. Find something that everybody seems to like and you can get engagement. Um and hopefully it'll get a little bit better. Now, I know for us in 425 there's a little bit of issues with time, where people are at work during that time, a lot of East Coasters and things of that nature. But we kind of deal with it, and every week we seem to get a little bit of a better number. I think last week we had like mid 60s or something along those lines. So, but yeah, I agree. Where if you can, build something and get that engagement, because you're definitely getting more battles in something like a polar, than you are like an elite war in 2 minutes, or fighting Ronaldo like we fought Ronaldo, for a month and a half straight. I don't know if that helped us or it hurt us, because the preceding elite wars after that, we had lower numbers, low 80s and things like that. So it's a fucking, it's a roller coaster up and down, trying to find the right mix of, things to do. But I do know that shaking it up a little bit, usually works. Making a change to things because, people get complacent, it's just human nature. So I like to shake things up a little bit as a leader, reprioritize things because we were prioritizing Wasteland when it first came out. We seemed to like that, but then it turned into something very similar to like Elite War, where if there were 8 battles, only one of them were good, and the other 7 were over in fucking 2 minutes. So those aren't fun battles. So I think that for 425 anyway, reprioritizing and kind of putting Wasteland over here on the corner, and kind of prioritizing Polar has worked out, a little bit better, at least for the bringing of fun. I remember when I sent the message after, because it was right after Big Bird and Holbrook and I spoke. We were on voice chat, we were shooting the shit. And I was like, all right, like this is what we're gonna do. Like we were, talking for like an hour or something like that. And when we were done with that conversation, all right, guys, because I was frustrated with seeing 255 every week. It's just like, listen, we can't raise the ranks where every week we see these fuckers. It's like just can't. It's like not even fun. So we went on the tour. We figured out that 567 owns their spot. That 621 owns their spot. It's like, all right, it was cheaper to go back to, to go back to 255 because we had deals with 255, we play 567, it was like blow a bag. We play 621, blow a bag. For 858, blow a bag. Nah, I'm good with all that. I'm good. I'm gonna go back over here and play with 255 because me and Baby, we talk on the same wavelength. I'm not trying to blow a bag like that. Well, at least for my team, like I'm cool with it. Like I got 10 million gold ready to go. I'll spend every gold I have in the Elite War in 3 weeks if it was possible, and for whatever. But you hear what I'm saying. So the rest of the team is going to be able to put themselves in a position, hopefully, to save a couple of bucks and hopefully it'll be fun. But after that little riling the team up, dropped a couple of Alliance chat messages and laid a plan out. This is what we're gonna do. If 255 is not there, dominate everything. Push everybody back into their house, take everything, fucking dominate. When 255 is there, still dominate, but just leave 255 alone, you know? And we've been doing just that and it's been working great.
Don't let don't I was don't let me in that city. Don't ask me to play. Trust me, you don't want that.
I think it'd be
I
great
have
to
you
let Woody
guys.
run my city for like an elite war against like a top 20 or something like that, just to see what he can do.
I, I did not.
So we got 255, 785, 425, and 555.
What the f? Yeah, let me
Yeah,
look.
look at
Holy cow! That's like honestly, that's like a finals of of like GC right there. Holy cow!
Holbrook just started to sweat a little bit when you pulled that screenshot up.
Holy cow! That's well, Camel's definitely paying attention.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Honestly,
They surprised me with it when we started the podcast because I was like rushing to get here on time. I was just finishing dinner, and long and short of it is they're like, "Oh, did you see this?" And then Hawkins put it up on the screen. I'm like, "Oh." I mean, I knew that we were going to see Holbrook eventually, especially since we saw 255 this past week. I was like, oh, I'm sure there's some chats in Enoch server or in 785 server of me saying, see you guys next week.
oh, I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that.
And sure as shit, there they are.
Some people think that you actually requested us, and I'm like, no, that's not what he meant. He just knew what was coming.
That's crazy right there. That's gonna honestly, I don't even think talking at 255 or there ain't gonna be no deal made in this one. This is gonna be literally everyone go all out, and whoever's the strongest is going to win this. I don't think
I mean, that's not the
HOP
case for 425. So let me just throw that out there. 425 will not
I'm
be
saying
blowing that bag. We're gonna go in there, and I'm sure me and Mental are gonna fuck around a little bit, and the team's gonna get some merit. But again, we're saving items for Elite War in a few weeks with 255. So I'm sure it'll be
this
a
is
little bit sweaty in the future when we're not whatever. But I'm fairly certain. I'll talk to my leadership team after the pod or in the morning when it's a little bit more active for us. But I'm fairly certain I'll ask Baby, but I'm fairly certain we're just gonna grab a few
I'm gonna
towers and get our merit
I'm
and
gonna
go home.
I'm gonna put this out there, and I'm friends with everyone. Please don't think anyone think anything. I hope that 75 wins that. I'm sorry, but I really hope to
Settle
see
down.
70.
Settle down. No,
Calm the fuck down,
No,
bro.
I say
Calm
that.
the fuck
I
down.
only say that.
Everybody just calm the fuck down. I
I
agree
only
with you.
say that. I only say that because they're the underdogs in this right now.
What do you mean? What did they bring?
no.
98. They bring 98 people to Polar and they're triple merged. That is impressive.
I understand. I understand
That
that.
is
I understand that.
impressive as hell.
I
If they don't have a chance, the rest of us need to give up.
the underdog portion of it is like 425,
Underdog.
555, and 255.
The-
Their average is 38 and higher. To where 75 average is like 36, 35.
yeah, but 555 doesn't push Polar and 52 ain't pushing Polar. You got the top
Oh
three
man,
there.
you get a matchup like that, they might see. They can see just as well as you can. They might just be like, "Oh fuck it, let's just try."
All I'm saying is it'd be really cool if 255 just magically let, one or two strongholds in exactly the right places open up right before the end of the match so that, you could have two battles at the very end on S1. It'd be very entertaining. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it would. It would be entertaining.
Intent by
Yeah, they turned that off because we went over this this morning about why they turned that GC off.
Why? I wasn't able to. I missed this morning. It was too early.
So
I didn't even respond because I was just gonna start getting aggressive, and so I put my
So
phone down and went to church.
in the newer nations, there was some really bad commenting towards like self harm kind of stuff that could be happening, and so they just squat. Basically, a couple people ruin it for everyone. They said some not only racist stuff, they said some go kill yourself kind of stuff. Stuff that shouldn't be allowed in a game, especially playing with just adults kind of deal. You shouldn't be talking like
What do you
that.
mean? That's in fucking every nation chat
No,
like
no, no,
every
no, no,
day.
no, no. No, they went really
They
far.
created an Epstein list.
Yeah, they went really, really far.
What do you mean?
Past the line. They went past the line that we should.
All right,
You know, we all have.
I don't want to turn this into the drama. Send me a couple of screenshots or tell me what happened on tomorrow or some shit. But yeah, sucks because I like talking some shit in GC and it's yeah, I was definitely a little perplexed and pissed that it was essentially taken away. So yeah, definitely sucks that it's no longer there.
No, like I said, it only takes a few people to ruin it for everyone.
Gotta love it.
Yep. It happened in a similar game, Clash of Clans. A few people ruined it for everyone.
Hey, look at the fucking chat from 785. Look, there it is. I called it. I called the whole thing. We're just minus Ronaldo. 255-555-425-785. Look, bro, they're in
Please
your
don't.
server, Holbrook. They're in your
Please
server.
don't. Please don't call it again, bro. Please don't ever call it ever again, please, bro.
Wait. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? I can't see it.
Hawkins, show that in the chat, brother. Lala just shared it.
Yeah, Lala shared it.
From 785 server. I'm a fucking oracle. Baby oracle. Here we go.
Bro, you nailed it. Please don't ever nail it with me included ever again.
I
Please
literally
nail
hit
it in the
four.
future without me included.
I literally hit the 4 that are there, bro. You ask and you shall receive. But that just goes to show you, man. That's funny.
Is Camel in that chat right there?
Dude, I was just gonna say Camel's in your server, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Camel's in there.
What I want to know is where the other top 10 people are playing. That's what I want to know.
No, I can tell you where one of them are. We got 1189 and 896 this week.
Holbrook, I think you're right about Polar being one of the top events that Camel wants people to go heavy on.
Well, look at the one I posted for 621, 567, 910, 564. That one's going to be sweaty too. Glad
I was just gonna say, look at the other one with 904.
Where the hell are all these? 621. Holy shit! Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be sweaty. But 567 gonna monkey punch that ass. Watch.
Now I don't feel so bad about what I got. Jeez. Nero was like, man, this is gonna be tough. Now I don't feel that bad.
Tips Jim to change the name to Full Dick. You know.
All 5.
We're gonna play nice. I have no idea what you're referring to. We're very low on resources, and we're gonna play nice.
You guys moved rounds?
He's so full of shit. He's so full of shit.
You are funny.
I don't know what
Oh,
happened.
man.
I was shocked. Totally the craziest thing I ever seen. I woke up, saw it, couldn't believe it. Said,
Man.
we're gonna slow walk and just probably have a drink.
There's
just
no
watch
such
it.
thing as slow walking 567, bro. I've never seen that once. I asked you guys to do a tower battle in Frenzy 2 years ago, and you just fucking all sped in immediately.
We got both 290s top 2 freaking alliances going after.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. That's gonna be a good one. I want to be a fly on the wall for that particular round for sure. But no, there's some definitely we that's what we started the pod with, Woody. There's definitely some pretty good polar matchups this particular round, with a lot of like the top nations going against each other.
Kind of like that head of state. Remember we had that head of state? They did that to us.
Yeah,
So
They
man, that
matched
was
they
crazy, and
matched
that
all the
was rated
top
cheesy.
nations together. Same
Yeah,
similar situation.
I agree.
that had a state sucked for us because literally I don't remember who it was. A 290 or 299 or 190. I forget the nation it was. Like literally all they did was they out farmed us, and then they played with nothing but T4s and T5s, and that was it. Like there was no actual battle.
Hey, you know who else will out farm you? That took a couple of pages out of 255's book is 373. 373 will out farm your ass. They got
Yeah,
some good little strategies over there going in 373 for points in the first 4 phases, so they're not having to recruit a bunch and things like that. And still, still keep the score, because mental out of
Do you
nowhere
know what their
dropped like
nation
a
BP
billion
was?
and a half. On them.
LG
Mine or theirs?
theirs. We've never faced them ever, and I'm kind of shocked.
So 373's nation BP is over 20. They're the
That may
fattest
be why
nation
we
there.
haven't fought. So
I'll
that's
tell
way
you.
more
In
than
Yeah,
yours, isn't it?
yeah, they're like 2 or 3 billion more than us.
I'll tell you in a
Okay, I
second.
thought
I
so.
got a city in 373. Let me just pull it up.
Yeah, because
They
I
just
was
have a
shocked
fuck
that
ton
yours
of
was big.
alliances. They're built similarly to 255, where there's a lot of alliances with a lot of major BP, but every one of those alliances follows the rules. You know?
Nice, nice. That's Woody's hometown.
Yep, it's where it came
Yeah.
from.
I mean the negative about 373, and I'll say it, is just, man, where's your all's team, man? I need to see some moving around with more than just Zizzo, and not Faith. Who's the other one?
Oh,
That's
I know who you're talking about.
Well, they're not
Valkyrie.
giving. They're
Yes.
not. Yeah,
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie's
Yeah,
good.
Valkyrie.
Did
Valkyrie's
y'all go in
nasty, man.
even?
She's
Did
say
y'all
that
go
again.
even on phases 1 through 4? Were you able to at least match them?
No. They were trying to catch up to us because Mental recruited like 1.5 billion out of nowhere.
Oh wow.
Maybe he got drunk or some shit. I don't know, but he recruited 1.5 billion out of nowhere. So they were catching up to us the entire time, and I think we went
Oh wow.
into phase 5 like up maybe 100 or so million or 200 million, something like that. So yeah, but they out farmed us like heavy, bro.
Was that
Like
Frenzy or Void? The second one.
Void. Yeah, we
Nice.
only see them in Void, I feel like.
Okay. I was
Yeah,
curious
they,
if you
they,
fought
yeah,
them in the
man.
towers.
They took the nation thing out of there. I gotta add this all up.
they 100% have adapted a few of the rules out of 255, in my opinion, with the way they're gathering recruiting from farms and deleting troops. That definitely was taking place. Everything that could move was moving for farming. So again, many alliances out of nowhere with points. And then there was one other. Oh, the monsters, same thing. Random alliances that got no
Oh, I can
business.
only imagine their monster kills.
Yeah, it was a lot. They gained on us like 500 or 600 million in monsters.
Oh, I bet.
So it was cool to see though, because I respect those style of tactics, right? I kind of see it coming, blah blah blah. And I didn't think that Mental would just randomly drop recruitment like that. So long and short of it is but when it came to phase 5, it was 2 or 3 players, dude. That was it. It was kind of a little defeating. And I'm the idiot leader telling my team, listen, guys, they just fucking put the team together, right? They got a new alliance name, they got the blah blah blah, like, and to start it off, and I said this in the chat earlier, like we had a 50 million BP city unshielded, at the start of Void, and they didn't want to fight, so I thought that was a little wonky. But I still love 373. I still say they're probably one of the only other nations in our globe that could give us a run for our money. Clearly, they're better Void nation than us at the current time. But
I don't think I could have resisted that C-38, trapper or not. I think I
yeah, I
still would
mean,
have went in.
I said it earlier. Zizzo ended up waiting for me to go to sleep, and the guy's shield, fell again a little bit, later, and I think Zizzo killed him alone. As a matter of fact, maybe he had some help. I don't know, but I know the guy died.
Worked out.
But yeah, I don't know. I know for 100% fact that GFK 425 me, we cannot resist that trap. We can't. We're coming and we're gonna die or we're gonna burn it. That's it.
Yep.
Two things are gonna happen. Two things are gonna happen. We're one of two things. We're gonna die or we're gonna burn it. And so yeah, I wouldn't be able to resist that, and
Yeah, I'm there with you.
but they were able to, which, again, whether it helped them or not, they beat us pretty substantially. But I'm, again, also that leader that, I'm the stand down guy. It's like, all right, guys, we're not beating this after that. So go ahead and get your merit. I'll see you later tonight.
373 is at 21,184,389,306.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot, and mind you, they have Faith. He's like 5 something, right? 520 or something along those lines. He's got a fat city over there. But everybody else isn't fat. Like, literally tells you how many people are in that nation, because everybody else can hide troops. It's like, it's so similar to fighting. They fight just like you, Tip. Everybody can hide, other than the, couple of whales. And, and if there is troops there when you hit them, it's T4.
Yeah, that's the standard now across the board from what I've seen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I haven't drank that milk just yet,
Well, it does stat average you. That's the only downfall to it. I will give you that heads up. You're better off with 0. The only purpose in the T4 or low is just to allow the other players that are going to, reinforce the trap, to give them a chance to get there without giving massive points in the meantime. That is the only purpose in the T4. To hold, because if you don't have any troops there, the person will just bounce off.
Correct. You got to have something to start a battle. I get.
Absolutely. That's the purpose of them.
So question, why wouldn't it be zombies then? To die too fast?
Yeah, I mean, it's void. Zombies are expensive as shit. I mean, that would be my response to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
true that.
Go recruit some zombies and see how much they cost.
Well, it wouldn't be recruiting them; it would be healing them, but which is also just as expensive to heal.
Well, it depends on how many you have, but yeah, I'm with you.
Because I feel like if I were to do that, because I'm still empty. I want, unless you're a known trap, like, I don't want my team flopping around out there with anything. I want them to get whiffed. Like, I want them to share the report that says 0 troops. So nobody can say anything dumb. But if I were to adapt that, whatever, literally almost everybody, keep a couple of home, I feel like I would make it zombies, just so I didn't get stat averaged and things like that. I feel like that would be the better take.
It's one troop though, and if they zaps it or kills it or
it's fast.
It's fast, and then you'd have to have 300,000, and even then, I think it only take 1 or 2 seconds. I mean, it might not be enough. That's all I'm saying. We tend to keep like 300,000-400,000 T4s just to keep it long enough for about 3-4 seconds, and at least to get in there, and that's it. That's the only purpose in it.
I'm nowhere. I've been. I've watched your fuckers' traps. Lana's the best at it. She just sits over there and fucking just pesters you for hours, and then she catches you on the 15th miss. You whiff, and then she catches 6 of you fucking idiots. I was laughing at her live chat. I'm like, you're gonna get caught. Why you keep messing with that? She's gonna get you. And then they share it. And it's like, bro, the bubble's already there, you dumb fuck. I told you, like I fucking told you. I hope you got SOS, bitch.
It's so funny you say that. This last void, she was doing exactly what you're saying. And this is so funny. She had it set, right? And then she goes, all right, go ahead and reinforce it and hit it. And I'll reinforce too. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then one alliance hits it and we catch him, right? And that alliance doesn't do it. And then another alliance, a different alliance does it. And then another different alliance. And then another. It's like I was like, just like every alliance wants to take a turn, so then we turn around and rename it and redo it again. Oh, it was hilarious, man. I couldn't believe they were doing it over and over and over again.
You gotta love
Yeah.
it, you know, and that,
Oh
that could,
man.
you know, half of those guys are probably just the box openers, you know. And I love it to where like there's probably some screenshots of chats in my alliance chat where it's, you know, I'll catch those traps and they literally just disintegrate, you know, they kill like 2 troops, you know, they get 0 points and they
And then
just
feel bad for the guy
disintegrate.
that uses SOS, and then he's in there
Yeah,
with a
dude.
full fleet with no SOS.
I
Oh my
share it,
goodness.
and the response when I share it, it's just like, "No boxes for you, motherfucker." You
It's
box
true.
opening idiot stick. You do
Oh,
not get any boxes, you
you
know?
see 200, 300,000 troops just die instantly. Tears just want to come down your face.
You're like,
Yeah,
no.
there's plenty of nations that love to do that too, and but you know, at least there's some battles. You know, I'll give it that. But you know, in the grand scheme of things, man, there's so many cool little traps like that where great players like Lana and you know can really attract the others, and because there's teams out there, you know, I'll just keep it to myself where we can't resist. You know, it's like blood in the water. It's like we can't resist, you know. And if you get us, you get us. Cool, man. Like fucking, you know. Again, I'll tip my hat to you. Smoke a cigar later, no problem. But you know, like in the heat of battle, like you know, I don't think that we can resist. You know,
Yeah, I'm with
and
you.
if
I'm
you
the
look,
same way. You just have to bring numbers when you do those traps. That's all. That's the key.
yeah, well, it's even worse when well, you know, using Lana as an example. She, you know, she changes. You never know when she's going to have troops or not. You know, so
True.
it's like, you know, she switches it up. She'll let you hit her 3 or 4 times with nothing, and then the 5th time it'll, you know, there'll be a little something there, and boom, you're done. You know, so it doesn't matter if you bring 50, you know, because those 50 are gonna bounce. But the late motherfucker, that guy's dead. That guy's so dead, dude. You know, the late guy, you know, like
You know,
I watched Lana and catch 425 ladies like 3 or 4 times that last time we played each other. And I just like, all right, guy, I'm gonna go fucking watch the football game. I'll catch you guys in a few hours. You know? You know, like this is over, you know. Because with top nations, I mean, and I think anybody kind of in the chat right now, you know, Bayou included, Big Bird, Tip, you know, like 858, even like some of you top, all these top nations that are out there, literally one battle is how you win or lose the event, you know, if it's close in any capacity. You know, it's literally one battle. And then you can also know is if that other team does get the advantage that there's no getting points from them, you know. So if they can, you know, using 373 as an example just a few weeks ago, when they did kill Buddy 50 million BP and hit him 4 or 5 times and take every one of his troops, you know, we all know that's about a million and, you know, billion plus points. You know what I'm saying? So there's no coming back from that against a style of nation like 373, 255. You know,
yeah,
there's
not
no
unless you're
coming
gonna
back
play for
from that.
24 hours. That's the only way, and
Yeah.
that sucks.
And even then, that, you know, like, I'm sorry, but I've done that before and there's no fucking points, dude. You
You're
know?
grinding the farms at that point.
Yeah, come on, man. Trying to get 6,000 a pop on fucking Titans. You know, like, get out
That's
of
all
here.
you can do.
You know, like, get out of here. I'm not doing that, man, for a dub. You know, like,
Yeah,
that's not
I'm
worth
with
it.
you.
You know, so it's, you know, like it's literally 1 or 2 battles that win or lose these phase 5 events for these top nations, and you know, and that's just really it. And for me as a leader, once I can see that it's kind of decided, I'm the first one to call it now. Call it a retreat flag, call me a pussy, call me whatever you want. You know, I got guys I got to look out for, and you know, you can't just continue to press. You know, when you know who you're fighting. You know, I think half the battle in this game is knowing the enemy per se, and you know, and I think all of the best nations out there do a lot of you know, looking in on others. Right? Tip mentioned it earlier. I got 50 spy cities in 425. You know, so everybody's going to go take a look at it. That's the same with all the top nations. You know, People are in there. People are looking. People want to know, so keep that for what it is. But all these top nations out there, there's only so many that that are going to give you an opportunity to even win or lose the event. There's some nations out there, they'll get a lead on you in first four phases, and there's really no battles available that could potentially give you the win. Even if there was a bubble drop here or there, unless the top city 300-400 million BP got literally zeroed, like there's no winning. So I'm the first guy to just again kind of call the stand down and save your items, get your merit, be careful, make sure your bubble's good, da 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 da. But let's go ahead and call it. So, but then like our last void that we played 373 with, we lost by like 100 million points in the final 2 minutes. That was kind of a heartbreaker, but but it was a little bit more fun, I guess. But in the grand scheme of things, I would, if it's clear and it's over, there's no getting tip. If you got a 3 billion point lead on somebody, can they get that back from you?
No, no.
No, right? And I'm sure I
No.
can ask the same question to buy you there, or maybe 858's in a little bit of a different position because they're a little newer. But like I know 621 ain't giving me 3 billion points if they're up.
No, ain't
I
neither.
know 255. I know that. I just know it. So let me hang it up. Let me put my cap on the table and move along to the next day. And try to learn something from it and go from there. And clearly with this particular void with 373, you can't leave 50 million BP city, with no shield and expect to win. So that's just the end of that conversation. But I tried to tell my players, and you could probably see in my line shot, and I'm sure Hawkage can attest to this, guys. This void's over. Make sure your shield's good. Save your shit for Polar on Tuesday. And I didn't even know we were gonna have 255 at that point. And sure as shit, later that night, matchups come out 255, 555, whatever we had this past week. So
That might be your fault, just so you know. You might actually requested it, not meaning to.
I mean, I feel like Camel's got some new AI shit that's linked to my iPhone that hears me talking, and they're like, "All right, this is what this motherfucker's saying. This is what we need to do."
Someone screenshotted it, send it to Camel. Look, this is what he wants. Send it to him.
I'm talking too damn much. That's what I'm doing.
I know the feeling.
I think
trust
though
me.
that's a mark of good leadership from ULG, like knowing when to call it. But there's another piece in there that I'd highlight, and you were talking about like save it for Polar. Polar's one of your priorities. You're keeping all your priorities in mind, and also your long-term priorities. Like being able to take those short-term hits for long-term gain is one of the things that's going to separate GFK down the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the fact that everybody can enter the event, get some merit, like even using the 2 to 5 minute elite wars, right? Like sure they're quick, whatever, but every one of those guys who entered are getting 500-600 merit for nothing, and like those are those growth steps that again over time, the long game as you described, leaps and bounds, man. Looking at those merit ranks of like using 255 as an example, that shit's crazy. Like for real, go spend some time in 255 and their globe rankings and really digest what's going on there, and try and take age, and them being that much older than you and put it off to the side just for a little bit, because I'm not that much older than or newer whatever than 255, and the merit rank differences on the average of their cities is crazy. And again, that's full participation in my opinion. It's full the way they bring numbers, and the way that essentially every city's in every event, for the most part. I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
You know, with those little things, you know, because again, man, you can't beat your head against a wall. You know, I don't know if you've ever did that in your life, but you know, I kind of have. You know, I think I've shared before. I used to struggle with drugs back in the day, and beating your head against the wall, man, shit ain't no fun, man. You know, so you got to be able to know when you're beat, and I think that's like a man thing or not or what, but you know, leadership thing, quality, however you want to kind of put it in quotations, but you got to know when you're beat, you know. But you know, whatever that old little Rocky saying, it ain't about how you fall, but it's how you get up, you know. So I always take these things as learning experiences, and you know, try to implement them in my life moving forward. And it's worked pretty good for me, in you know, in my life outside of gaming. And you know, my name is Lead God for a reason. I know it means a lot of different things, but I'm a pretty good leader in life as well. So I try to implement those things in the game, and it just seems to work. You know, like, and it doesn't take a lot of effort for me because it's how I am in my life. You know, so I just try and, you know, organically try to put it off into everybody else. And, you know, people are eating up what I'm giving out in 425, you know, GFK anyway. And I think it's leaking into our second and third alliances, you know, because even some of the leadership chats that we have in like Discord, you know, as a nation where I can talk to the other, you know, leaders of the second and third, I can see them doing things that are very similar to what, you know, I've done in the past. And it's cool to see. Once again, you know, it's cool to see the you know, the other alliances in the nation pull players to get them online, and then it's also cool to see, you know, them off the players who are fucking with them. You know, my second alliance had a shield drop, you know, pretty big shield drop, 2 voids ago when we lost that thin one to 373. And not to say that we blame them, but they kind of blame themselves, you know, like, hey, like this guy died, you know, from a blatant shield drop, and it was probably 300 or 400 million points overall, because you know he got zeroed, and a couple of people defended too. But long and short of it is you know, they were able to you know, remove that player, and you know, and where they typically wouldn't in the past, you know. And it wasn't because the guy dropped a shield, because, you know, I'd like to probably give people too many, you know, passes in that regard. But it was because, you know, the guy was inactive, and he wasn't, you know, essentially playing the game anymore. Usually, and I've seen this before because I've traveled alliances. The last time I was in their alliance, they had 17 people who hadn't logged in for 30 plus days, you know, and you know, mind you, this is pre our merger. This is quite some time ago. I was in their alliance, but they had 17 people. I remember that number because it was a lot. So they had 17 people that were 30 plus days offline in their alliance. So I had a separate conversation with their leader. I'm like, bro, it's just that's like killing you guys, man. You know, you got 20% of your alliance like hasn't logged in for 30 days. Like those guys clearly don't play the game, you know. So maybe they're your friends or this and you're that, but like they don't play the game anymore, man. They're gone, and they didn't say goodbye. So what are you holding on to? You know. So but that's the Japanese for you. You know, shout out Japan, and you know the way that, you know, they're super loyal to their friends and the compadres. But you know, speed it up a couple of years later, man, that guy hasn't been here for 10 days. You know, he dropped his bubble in the middle of void, you know, man, he's out of here, you know. So there's like a couple of dead cities in like the middle of their hive now, which is super rare, you know. So it's just stupid things like that I see things like organically just happening. And so yeah, it's nice to see, you know. But again, you know what I said earlier, you know, there's only a handful of, not handful, it's more than a handful, but there's probably a dozen or so like great led nations. You know, 425 is one of them. I'm a great leader, you know, and my leadership team is fucking awesome too. So there's a good amount of other nations out there that have similar setups, you know, and watch out for those fucking nations, because man, they're a motherfucker, you know. And a lot of those nations I can't beat, you know. Like depending on the event, man, there's, you know, like we ain't going up against a couple of these guys, you know. I don't got the bandwidth for it, you know,
Let
or
me,
my team doesn't
Legal.
per se.
Let me ask you. My nation, 736. If we, when we get emerged, do you think we have potential?
Would you disappear there, Woody?
What's that? Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you, Woody.
My Nation in 736, after we get a merger.
You having
I know it,
connection problems, brother?
am
I
I?
hear him clear.
Oh, you are, or maybe it's me.
Okay, well, after 736 gets a merger, do you think we have potential to? I know we're not going to be the top nation out there. We're not. Um, but do you think we have potential to be very successful nation?
I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of your nation, Woody. I do feel like, my in a general way, your team relies on you a lot, you know. And I think that that's probably, probably one of the bigger issues of your particular nation. But I don't know anything much about the Second Alliance other than kind of what we covered a few weeks ago. But it really depends on what you're going to merge with, and
Yeah.
and then what that stacks up, with what's already out there. Like look what you're going up against with like 785, and like whatever. There's a good handful of nations out there that are not fucking around right now, and you would need a very good merger to go up against. I mean, you're in Holbrook's bracket, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you would need a very good merger to go up against Holbrook and his team. Like everybody in that globe needs to pay attention, kind of like what Tip was saying. But the guy's got 3 mergers, all this stuff. I'm sorry, I can't even say it with a straight face.
Well, look,
um
maybe it's better that I ask for like Holbrook because he's in or Crash. It's in here because they're in my bracket. They know my nation. So let me ask them. Um, after we get a
because you
merger,
do
seven
you
thirty
do
six.
you do get your numbers in your elite war. Like I saw that earlier today. I mean, you guys are a
Yeah.
little, a little wonky, but like you get numbers, and I see that you're in like the top 75ish for elite war, but that also tells me that it relies a lot upon you, because
Yeah,
a
you've seen
singular
the wins and losses. Yeah, you've seen the
a,
wins
s-
and
a,
losses
s-
in my
a
last.
sing well, that too. I was just going to kind of bring that up. It's like as soon as you leave, they lose 4 in a row. As soon as you come back, they win 3 in a row. And I doubt that's all matchup based. But the bigger thing is the bracket of where you're at in Elite War, and maybe like a Big Bird or Tip can back me up on this. But it tells me just but from a glance that your team can get there just by hanging on your shoulders. Because if the team actually came together and you guys were, pulling up with 75 plus, then you would be into the top 40s, without a merger. And you would
Woody,
be having
you
fun.
want a great deal? Get 858. That would be my suggestion.
That oh man, 858. I wouldn't mind that merger at all.
That would be an
But
amazing merger for you.
for him, would
There's
it be
a
good
lot
for
of
858? And I say that with respect,
right.
I mean,
We
858
would
doesn't
not
have
hate
whales,
that.
but Woody does have 2 whales.
Who's the
Yeah,
other
so
whale in your nation, Woody?
K138. He's here. He's really strong. Like
Hayes
he's not like
Max.
he's
Yeah, I
not
was
like
gonna
you
say
strong.
that's the other Max City.
Yeah,
What happened to the
pretty
guy
strong.
who got burned? The other guy, what was his name? The guy who died and
Hellfish.
quit.
Hellfish.
That's it.
Jose.
Okay, that's a different person, right?
Yeah, different person. That guy,
Okay.
he's still gone, and I don't know why my R5 hasn't just kicked him and let us burn him yet.
Ain't he
That's
already
just
dead? Respectfully.
respectfully, yeah. I
You
think
got no
he's hoping
troops.
that Hellfish comes back, but he ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. Like he got there in Void, he didn't
Can you
get
get
hit,
his
and
city?
he was scouted. What's that? No, we can't. That's the problem. Is we can't get his city. He keeps saying that he's gonna hand the keys over, and just he never does. Like when we send him a text
Someone's
to
got to offer him
bubble,
some cash, bro. Stop talking and gotta give him some money, bro. That's what it is.
he wants 10K for the damn thing. It's not worth that. He quit before the officer equipment came out. It's not worth it. It's right now as it sits of 0 troops. It's worth maybe $1,500. He has 0 troops in it.
Yeah, that's a tough sell.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
he wants 10K, or even if he wanted 5K, it's still not worth 5K. 1,000 maybe just because it's a 41. Where
What
it's
about that guy? What
that's
about that
probably
guy who was in 255 who wanted 50 grand for 3 years?
I know.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, Woody, if he got 5 for it, I mean, at least somebody is. I know you got to rebuild it, but it's a good jump start for someone jumping into it for that. But he's got to be able to. He's got to bend on that price. That's just. It's just not going to happen.
I don't think 5 grand is even good for it. I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2,500 because it has no troops and it's so far behind on all the officer, the warplane, everything. He stopped before officer equipment even came out.
Yeah,
He
that's a
stopped playing.
problem.
So he is that far behind. 2,500 would probably be pushing it at this point. But as soon as 44 drops, it's like you're talking about $1,000.
Yeah,
Like, that's pushing it. Like,
Yeah, that ain't worth.
when people said
That ain't worth but
Yeah.
$700 in 425.
no, it's not.
Well, you say
and-
that, Woody. You guys get a good merger, the value will go up. I will say that.
100%.
If we get a good merger,
And that's
you
probably
get like
I
an
was just
858, it'll go up.
or he'll come back to play and maybe that's what he's waiting on. You never know. You know, the guys who don't sell their cities or ask too much money for them, in my opinion, are still hanging on to the game. You know,
he's not even playing. He's not even logging in. Like he's done. There's some personal issues that happened to where I think some of us might even be on block. Like it might be just one of those cities that die and never. You know what I'm talking about? It's just there.
that sucks.
I should just ask Camel to fucking. I just ask Camel to just fucking disappear it.
how long has it been offline?
We definitely.
Let's check. I'll check right now. I keep forgetting it's not me that's live right now. 21 days.
Yeah, it's
And
been a minute.
Yeah, and that was when he just bubbled it. That was it. That's the only reason why it was 21 days, because he bubbled it. He didn't even bubble last void, and he was scouted, and no one attacked it. So that tells me he's out of troops.
Yep.
Completely out of troops.
Yeah, he probably got frenzy zeroed.
Yeah, he was. He was frenzy zeroed.
Well, that means he can't log in, Woody. If he logs in, the troops will reset.
I understand that, but it being an SBT, it's still, what, 31 million, BP. That's 31 million BP. People might say it's not a lot, but 31 million BP out of when we're trying to lower our nation BP.
Yeah, I mean, he
that's a
should
lot.
definitely be kicked out of the alliance. I agree with that. For sure.
I think people are like, "Oh, we're going to use it as a trap. We'll use it as a trap." I mean, if we're trying to get merged, who cares? He, not much. He was at
He
like
was like
44
110 million
at Frenzy Zero.
BP or something.
When
He was like
first
100
got
million
clapped.
So he
BP.
probably
I
had
think.
3
at one
million
point.
troops or so.
Before he got Frenzy
Oh, more
Zero,
than that.
he was at $120 when he got Void hit. He's got half a fleet then. He's got half a fleet. He's got half a fleet. No, he's got half a fleet. 41 T13s at 44. Yeah, that's half.
Yeah, but his BP would be hidden, Woody, if he got frenzy zero. Keep that in mind.
And that's what it is. So when he got Frenzy Zero, he was at 44. And now he's at 30,
Oh, he was at 44
40.
when he got frenzy zero. Oh shit, my bad. Yeah, then he's got
Yeah,
half a
so
fleet. You're probably right.
Yeah, he's got half a fleet.
Yeah,
And
I
the
thought he had like
T13.
80, 90 million BP, and then he was frenzy zero.
No. So he got hit at 120. He got zeroed by Big Bad Wolf in 616. And that was,
Oof.
he healed and it brought it up to 44. and that was
Oof.
basically the last time he ever played.
Oof, that sucks.
Yeah, Big Bad Wolf fucked him up. But this was a classic case of I think I'm strong, I don't need a bubble, and he got caught. And the thing is that like Big Bad Wolf loved the guy, but he got clapped by 425. He learned a lesson, and unfortunately, Hellfish got clapped by Big Bad Wolf.
It's a
The
domino
lesson
effect.
got passed down. It was a domino effect. And I tell everyone these serious nations like this, we are no longer able to just sit in a hive and not be bubbled. Like I think people need to understand that. Just because you win one battle doesn't mean they're not going to hit you 3 or 4 times. If they hit you 3 or 4 times of 200 million BP and you won that first battle, who's to say you're not going to win that third, fourth, fifth? And now you got no troops. Some nations and some alliances they will take that loss to zero out as 41. I've seen it.
I mean, I would.
We absolutely will. We absolutely will.
They'll
Yeah.
take they
We'll
will they will take two fleets
we'll
out
hop
to
on.
zero.
Yeah, we'll hop on Viber and we're like, hey, big hit, everyone, come on, come on, come on, come on, and we'll start off with like maybe 20. Next thing you know, we got 50, 60 people. Yeah, we'll take that hit at first, but we'll make it count.
Everyone losing.
And those are the well-led nations that we speak of, the ones that at the drop of a dime can hit a chat or a Discord or a Viber or whatever the fuck you're on, and all of a sudden 60 plus appear. Those are the great ones.
Nations. My nation, I love my nation. I think it would be good after merger. I just don't know how good and who we're gonna get. I look around the nations that's possible. Like I do not want 747. I don't want them at all. But that's probably someone I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna have to wait. The good news is there's plenty of work to be done until you get merged. The good news is you don't have control over when you get merged, but you do control everything that happens until you get merged. So kind of like we talked about a couple weeks ago on your pod, it's you gotta create an environment that breeds participation and motivation and presence, and winning, and whatever you got to find something that you guys are good at, and kind of just focus on that, so you don't drag the morale down, and then when you get the notification on who you're merging with, then you get to make a decision, and you get to kind of figure it out, and go from there. And if it becomes shitty, then you just whatever, you retire or you go get a new city in a different nation.
Well,
It's cool.
I've been offered by many nations to go play there.
Yeah, exactly. There's, I think it would take a Discord message. It says, all right, guys, who's got the best city available in the best nation? I want, and you'll have a laundry list of people offering you some cities to come play with them.
Yes.
I think you got big enough community behind you, man, that I think everybody that just wants to have fun playing the game, and I say that with respect to the players in your nation, obviously, but it's similar in 357. I've literally sent the message to a majority of players in 357. It's like, listen, guys, like doesn't look like merger anytime soon, blah, blah, blah. If you're just here to play the game for community and fun and, and things like that, like awesome, but if you want to play the game for real, I have something for you in 425. And that's, and just leave it at that.
I've always
Are
told
you still
myself
pushing that 357 city?
I mean, pushing it meaning spending money on it. I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't spent money in that
push.
city in a handful of months now. I was not like, no.
You used to push both
The answer to that
pretty
question, I
hard.
mean,
That's
yes,
why.
I still drop probably. I mean, I still play it pretty hard, like,
Okay, fair enough. That's it.
Void
I mean, every time I
Sundays and
see you in
things like
Ironclad, you're
that.
going hard on it.
I can't see you
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
like
I
the
mean, I still play it.
bulldog and plane and stuff like that, like how you do in your main city.
Yeah,
I can't
no,
see you.
there's none of that stuff on that city. I kind of when the plain skin came out. No, probably even before that. Whatever the big release was before the plain skin. Let's put it this way: I have like a one shard on my Emily. You know.
Gotcha,
Oh
gotcha.
wow. Okay, fair enough. I knew that would come eventually. I was shocked you took do that long, to be honest.
Well, all these other nations that have like the 4 cities or 3 cities with the one account that's mega spending, that's the kind of there's gonna be a point in time that they're going to be like, okay, well, I need to figure out what city I really want to push, and the other ones are just gonna sit where they're at. It's gonna happen eventually. Is
I mean, the
spend.
the unfortunate part, or I don't even say unfortunate, but like Civil War, there was busy work for me, and that's probably what kept me, more engaged, for the long term. There is because there was something to do there any given day, any given moment because of Civil War. So it was engaging, and again, it was busy work, But now that it's not that, and we're losing, it's just like, you know
Yeah.
no one, I don't like that. That's not, I don't partake in losing. It's just not it's not what I do. And so, and it's not anything to do with the players in KTA. It's just the organic whatever situation that happened there with Civil War, with people leaving, with getting merged with a shit nation. Like the downfall of 357 was merging with 363. Yeah, 363. Like that was the downfall of 357, was merging with a shit farmer nation. Let's call it what it is. You know, and they were led wrong. They were, everything about them was not good, and prior to anybody merging and anybody that was around any of these globes, we all know that 363 was big donkey trash. And then we got merged with them. So, we were able to, have fun for a handful of months with a quote, quote, super alliance, but then the fucking farmer shit came out, and I'm not a farmer supporter, and so fuck you, let's fight, so
Five,
that,
6, 7. They love their farmers, right, Tip?
yeah,
Yes,
Tip
we
loves the
do.
farmers.
We will take them all. Come
Listen,
mini.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
you gotta
well,
have them to
listen,
compete with these bigger nations. Shit. I ain't got no 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 alliances. Shit. I'm trying to grow, man.
I heard Tip
yeah,
teach well snipers. Just saying, kidding.
I think with 357, I know we all say that sometimes you do need to have a civil war to better your nation. We all say that. But I think with 357, the civil war might last too long.
No, you really
Eh,
don't. Like, no, you really don't. To be honest, for like a lot of reasons, you know.
well, if you remember, Texas, I forget his last name, or Texas, he loves civil war, and like,
Well, yeah, because he's an asshole and he thinks like Landman is his life story.
Texas Death,
And the
yeah, that
other,
was my nemesis for
yeah,
the longest time,
right.
349.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Me and him butted
But
hella
he
heads.
never, yeah,
and that's a
he was, he
problem.
was, he was definitely okay with providing friction and being able to apply friction, but never anything else. Just being like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah, but
you don't
Well, I
agree
think
with what I agree with, or you don't apply with what I, apply with. Or, it was so like just ignorant what he was doing. You
what
know,
what I'm what I'm saying
I mean,
what I'm saying is, hold on. What I'm saying is like knowing that kind of player walking into a civil war. Like if you're not in civil war now, knowing that you have players like that they'll do civil war until the end of the nation. I don't think necessarily a civil war at that point would be nice. Would be an idea, knowing that they'll just continue to do it even when you guys say, okay, let's call it a quits. They don't care, and I think that might be not healthy for a nation.
I mean, for 357 specifically, I mean, we had two guys there that were just immense trolls. Like, you know, Texas death on steroids with money, you know? So we had Zombie King and we had Apo, and both of those guys just didn't want to work with anybody, but both had strong cities and both will just kill you at the drop of a dime for, you know, essentially any reason that they felt necessary. And they killed dozens, you know, of 357 members. So yeah, I mean, essentially that dragged us into civil war to start. They were conflict starters between everybody. But now that they're gone, you know, we were able to get their cities and, you know, robble. But, you know, again, we're still left with fucking, like, I would rather Apo and him be back, you know, and have civil war, you know, than this fucking shit. You know, it's like just logging in and looking at the morale, looking around, it's just like, whatever, you know. And the deal, to quote, stop the civil war is, you know, every week, you know, or every 2 weeks for phase 5, you know, you guys, you know, need to join us, and you know, everybody fights from one alliance. But on Sundays, you get like 4 people that join. So wait a second, your fucking alliance with 90 people, you tell me you got 4 people, you know? And me as a leader, I'm like, I just want to kill everybody. I just want to go kill everybody now. You know, it's like, you guys are fucking trash, and I'd much rather be in civil war than this. But it's not how it worked out. So long and short of it is I think it's an even better precedent that, you know, I just stop spending over there, and maybe we get a merger and maybe it's fun again. You know, so that's essentially where I'm at there. You know, but I still log in and, you know, for Elite War and for Phase 5, and you know, I would do Polar and stuff like that there as well if it was in a different time slot. But you know, they're on the same time slot as 425, and you know, I'm playing 425, and they know that. So
Yeah, it'd make no sense for you to walk away from your main at the same
and that's
time
and that's
slot.
why I told them, and that's and I recently told them again, you know, just in this, you know, maybe a month or so ago. Guys, I love you, you know, and I love the relationships and the camaraderie we have here, you know, but a lot of you guys play the game socially, you know, which is cool, you know, it's cool. Log in, you know, blah, 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 log out, do your dailies, play Zombie Uprise. Like that's cool. Enjoy. You know, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the game. But if you want to play the game at a high level and actually, you know, follow some rules and, you know, partake in an actual team, you know, then I suggest you come over here. And I got a couple of great players, you know, in 425 from 357. So, you know, shout out to them, and I'm sure, you know, we'll bring a couple of more, you know, as I play less and less. Like, cause when I do log in, like I see chats in the Alliance chat, like, guys, we got to do this. So League God wants to play here more, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll see that like 7 hours ago, you know, and it's like, like, you know, I think it's a little bit more than that in the grand scheme of things, but you know, it's not fun to just lose over and over and over and over again. You know, it's just not fun. So there's no reason for me to log in there when the morale is just, you know, not down. And for me to go in there and rise the morale, quote quote, you know, it would take immense work from me, and then I still have the fucking farmers at 363. There's no getting around that shit, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, even if we do all do great and be motivated, what? Then we're just going to go lose because 17 of those fucking 20 that are online dropped their fucking shield and didn't hide their troops, you know, and a million other things that they do stupidly. So, you know, so that's a perfect example of, man, hang out, wait, blah, blah, blah. But man, if you get a fuck shit merger, pull the rusty nails, dude. Sell your fucking city and get the fuck out of Dodge. You know? Because that's what Rusty did. You know, shout out to my boy Rusty from 357. We got merged with shit ass 363, and he hung around for about 6 weeks. And after that, he's like, I'm out of here, boys. I can't do this. They're fucking trash. We got ZK, we got Apple, these fucking scumbags, and we got merged with this fucking garbage pile. nah, I'm out of here, you know, and probably saved himself a couple $100,000, you know, renovated
Too
his
bad he
house
didn't
or
go to
something real nice,
425.
I'm sure.
Too bad he didn't go to 425.
You know, I mean, I think he was, you know, moving on in his life anyway. He had just bought a new house. He was doing some big renovations and stuff like that. And, you know, I think his focus just went elsewhere with family and things of that nature. But his time was spent well, you know, in the game. And, but he definitely got out in a perfect scenario where, you know, that merger, you know, just, you know, again, was simply the death of 357 being anything good, you know? But we were able to take advantage of it for a handful of months before the true colors shined, you know. Here's a great example. The first, so after essentially the you know, I kind of put my foot down. I was like, listen, give me the R5 back. I'm not being led by this fucking horse shit, you know. You guys need to we're gonna make some changes. And as opposed to making some changes, um that particular R5 was Aussie at the time, just packed up shop and took, you know, whatever, 25 or 30 members out of the alliance and went back to the other alliance. And it was like during Void Week that they did this. And farming phase comes up. And we had rules at the time where, you know, if farming landed on day 4, you know, and leading into phase 5, then you know, we quit farming at 1200, right? So you know, after at server time 1200, everybody needs to be out of the mines and you know all that razzle dazzle bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, come 1200, right? Like 2 days after this person decided to, you know, take 30 people out of the alliance and go start a new alliance. Turn farming phase that they posted to the nation chat. And I think I forget the name of the alliance at the time, but they mentioned the name of the alliance. Our new alliance, we're gonna farm, you know, until the entire 24 hours. You know, like that was their first notion of this is how we're gonna do things. We're gonna get more points for the nation, and we're gonna farm for 24 hours. That was the first like order of events to do. Can you fucking believe that? I swear on everything I love. Swear on everything I love. Anybody from 357 that happens to be here, I'm sorry if you feel like I'm talking shit. I love you guys, but drop it in the chat. I swear that was the first thing they posted in Nation chat. We're farming all 24 hours. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? So anywho, we
That's
started
like giving an invite to
Civil War
attack.
that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started Civil War that day. So you know, like that shit ain't going down. But you know, the long and short of it is, if you get a shit merger, man, it's the death of your nation. I don't care how good you are right now. You know, I don't care how good you are. You get a shit nation. It's super difficult. You know, it's super difficult. Probably take you 2-3 years to overcome that. You know, and then you have to work your ass off.
Yeah, you ain't lying. How's
Yeah.
everybody doing?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, how is it? I noticed that you got your YouTuber back.
Yeah, Pharaoh.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Pharaoh,
was
he's
telling
a good
him
guy.
to jump on.
Yeah, Pharaoh's back.
Yeah. He was just telling me to tell Lee God that we have openings in 443 if he wants to help us clean out these farmers.
I think you
You know,
guys need a little bit. You guys need a little bit more than. I don't want. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, you
Nah,
guys.
it's okay,
you,
man.
You guys
you
need
We
to
we we
actually
we having a
press the
lot of
attack
issues.
button. Yeah, you guys need to
so
Yeah,
you know
reach
right.
out and
Phil.
press the attack button. That's what you guys need to do. There's this button in the game. It's called attack. And you press it, and then your troops go out, and then they go into another city and they fight each other. Okay, and for some reason, fucking Camel took that button away from your entire fucking nation. So
Oh my God.
as Holbrook would say, reach down and grab your fucking nuts and get your nation to press the attack button. Then and only then will people want to even think about coming to that nation. But until then, no fucking way, bro.
Yeah.
No way.
Nah, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
man. I haven't been active. I haven't been active for a minute, man. I just started coming back because we got this civil war thing going on with these farmers, and it sucks, bro. Because we were doing well, and now and we got a couple of good
I thought you
people.
guys are going to do good after you guys had that merger, man. But the biggest thing I see about your guys' nation right now, and I think I've used it as an example a couple of times in the podcast in the past, is since your guys' merger, which I actually thought was a halfway decent merger, when it first got released, um, it looks like you took two nations and you stuck them in one nation. Nobody did anything when you guys merged. No type of coming together, no type of connectivity, no nothing, and it just looks like two separate entities, sitting on separate sides of the street, staring at each other. You ever seen
Well,
those memes when
yeah.
you put the glass door between two dogs and they're barking at each other, but as soon as you open the door, they start whimpering, right? It's like I feel like that's what's going on over there, bro.
Well, we have
Well, it
we
looks like
we've got
Because if
deep
prohibition's
I,
changing
and
now.
okay. Yeah, we've
That might
got
have
deep on that side, and with the farmers and all that shit, man, and we brought together a lot of the good players under UKL, but I don't know, man. Hitting farmers is a sensitive subject because fucking people don't like it. I don't know. Some people left, and uh, people don't know how to keep bubbled, and now we're at war with a fucking alliance that doesn't come out of a bubble. So you know,
yeah,
boring shit.
and I mean, I'll
After,
say that
Boring shit.
Jeep has been
after,
protecting
after,
farmers for years.
after a certain point, if they fucking break shield, fucking burn them. Because the other day in like global for us, I was like ecstatic whenever I saw the dude's name. Um, Lead, I know you know it, and he was there with us. Like, but the dude, he's definitely a max player city, um, but he's got nothing. He's as far as his kills and whatever, he's like what, 50 or 60 million kills or something like that. But like after a while,
Yeah.
yeah, your kills don't mean nothing or whatever. But it's like, hey, if you got a dude that's playing like that, yeah, fucking boot him down or get rid of him or something.
I mean, I know
it's
what Bully's
crazy.
talking about because Jeep's been protecting farmers since whatever the Nation 4-3, whatever they were before they came there. Um, he's been doing that forever,
Yeah,
So the unfortunate part is whatever is left, isn't working together. I don't necessarily think you got to kill the farmers per se. When
yeah,
you
no,
guys
yeah,
are on the same page. But when you're not on the same page and you guys are been losing a little bit and things like that, that's kind of just a flag to me that says, all right, man, like why am I playing I I got to quit then, like if or I'm going to war, so I always chose
yeah. I
the
mean,
war.
yeah, and he has, and you have done, and you have, and we have done and executed that like very, very well. And it sucks for everybody else. I'm sorry for that. You but like even the other day, like even like say I got third round for global, if you will, and you were like, "All right, you fuckers!" Like trying to tell y'all to save some money and save some bags and blah 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 whatever. And I was the only one being like, "Yeah, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm cheap. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'm not trying to like rush you or nothing. You know." It was just such a great kind of fun event, uh, environment, and everything to be like, yep, no, I'm good. Like I ain't got to do this and that and the other to kind of,
I mean, take a page out of Holbrook's book, man, and kind of what Baby
yeah,
told me and everybody else. When you actually have a team, then a lot of weight's lifted, man. Like a lot of weight. And when you're working
yeah,
together, um, you don't have to place all. It's probably why Bully took a little bit of a vacation there out of 4-4-3 because he was probably carrying all the weight for there for a little while. That shit's fucking. You can only do that shit for so long, man. Um, and then I was doing something similar with that in 357 there for a little while, and it just isn't fun, you know. So the long and short of it is I would I would definitely question, whether I'm hanging around or not, and for me personally, my city in 357 will be fine, and if we get a halfway decent merger, if Campbell decides to start merging the older nations again, um, you know. I think it'll, be something to take a look at. But I mean, I haven't dumped any money in that city in quite some time, and but I keep some gold in it, and I'm definitely playing on Sundays. So don't think you're getting anything sweet out of 357. If you got us on Void War, we'll still come with 50 and we'll slap you upside the head. So don't get too crazy there. But at the end of the
Hey,
day,
Yay.
I'd like to think that me not spending any money in there will potentially, trigger Camel to say what's going on, you know. And there's
I wish
already
they
not
could
a
do that,
lot of
right?
BP there. There's already not a lot of people there.
Hey, Lee guys, so I think
So
443. I mean, Vincent came back. He's in here. He's in the voice chat right now. This is something that a lot of these nations that are very strong out there, I think 443 needs to understand that he came back to the game. He's doing YouTube again. So just know if 443, and I have nothing bad to say about it, if 443 can't get their shit together, he's a YouTuber. You know how many nations are dying and giving free cities out to YouTubers to get their nation shown. So with that being, like for instance, I guarantee Lee God just having his channel, having a YouTuber, he'd probably offer him a free city just for to be 425 to be seen. Not saying that that's 100% true, but YouTubers are very rare in this game right now to be seen.
Yeah,
So
well,
I
yeah, I mean,
mean,
right
I
now
feel
I'm
like we
actually,
have Hawkage, man. Hawkins will do some shit if we want, but like I
I was
don't
just
necessarily
using.
want to do all that for 425 per se. But
No,
yeah,
I'm
at
just
the end
saying
of the
in
day, the
general.
YouTuber stuff, man, like I hope the YouTuber shows the real stuff that's going on over there. Cause I think you can ask anybody who's fought 443 in the last 6 months, every single one of your opponents will probably talk shit, you know? And and it's just like you gotta press the attack button, man. That shield
Absolutely.
shit's for the fucking birds, man. I don't know what's going on over there, but
Pharaoh,
get it together,
what has
man.
been your Pharaoh? What has been your
yeah,
experience
let's say
since
I
you went
could
back?
explain real quick exactly what's going on in 443. Essentially, you have a nation that hasn't had a leader in a very long time, like a long, 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 long time. Most of the people there are kind of just milling about, doing whatever, and you get this mentality. A lot of these people about like, oh well, we're not going to win, so let's not even try. And like, I don't know, man, it's a game. Have stupid fun. You know what I mean? Like, go out there in a frenzy. Like, why is anyone not trying to do something in a frenzy? It blows my mind, right? So I've been back for like what,
Hopefully we
3
have
weeks,
on
4
this one.
weeks, something like that. And the whole time I've just been like, hey, let's go out there and like just hit stuff, just hit stuff. Like I fully plan if we get you in GC, I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm gonna hit your city. So I don't know about anyone else, but I'm gonna try. Not because it's gonna do anything,
He's
but because
gonna
why not?
he's gonna melt. He's gonna melt.
Yeah, like why
I
not?
mean,
Like
Farrell,
who
man,
cares if we're not gonna
pleasure to
win
meet you,
anyway?
brother. I don't
Let's
think
just
we've
do
ever,
it.
yeah, I don't think we've ever been acquainted, bro. But absolutely, dude. And that's, I think we've had a couple of podcasts, and me and Holbrook are going over this. Like 425 has been doing like shieldless frenzies recently, and like why not, and win or lose, like if we're not prioritizing head of state for the stupid skin, like get some fucking merit, go have fun, create some battles, like all of those things. I feel like that's so much better than wearing a shield for fucking 3 days like a huge faggot,
And spending money.
and that's yeah, even worse, right? And spending money. Wow, that's even worse. So it blows my mind. It really does. So I would 100% promote to everybody, especially if you're gonna lose, right? your leadership, oh, we're just gonna lose. Oh, okay, great, awesome. You accept that you're a fucking loser. Cool. Lower the shield so the non-losers can actually have some fun. You know, and let's go from there. You know.
He missed that field goal like I say he would.
Let
Have a
me
good
ask
night,
you a
baby.
question, Pharaoh.
Hey,
Hey, Pharaoh, let me ask you a
He missed
question.
the field goal like I
If
say he
if
would.
four, hey Johnny, you want to mute your mic? Ringo, you want to mute your mic? All right, I got you. Let me ask you a question, Pharaoh. If 443 can't get their shit together, I'm sorry, Bronx, I'm just throwing this out there. If they can't get their shit together, and there's other nations such as 1111, and 1111 is a tough nation, or 904 or 910, offer you a city for free at equal strength that you're in right now, and they're not in civil war, and they got their shit together, are you going? Are you going there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right now I'm on 443 playing in Champ's Old City to help him out. Right, it got zeroed out a couple voids ago. I'm just here to help a friend. Honestly, I wasn't even planning on being back right away, and then like they roped me in, and I started making videos and having fun again.
So, with that being said, you heard his answer, guys. He would get your shit together, or you're gonna lose a YouTuber. Your time to shine. Get your shit together. 858. They'll
Yeah,
take you.
well, we
And
got
they're
we got to send that message out across nation.
yeah, having a YouTuber in your nation, it's gonna not only draw attention to your nation, good and bad. Remember that. You guys try to get people in there, to fill up cities. A YouTuber does that just by making a video. Uh,
What's
many
up,
many
Farrell?
nations out there.
You gonna post a video on NC, see if we can get some kind of motivation?
Oh, most likely. I've been doing that for ever, but I think the big thing is right when I was in 473 and 506 before that, right? I spent a lot of my time trying to help my nation, and they don't listen. So I've been around these guys for so long now at this point that I'm like, hey, I don't know why you're not doing all the things you should be doing. Like every time I see somebody without gold components inside of their equipment in a 443 nation, like that just makes me want to vomit.
I know Hulk is just probably getting really tired right now. Probably like, okay, never mind then.
So what else we got?
Oh, I don't think I'm gonna be on here that long. I
Oh
think Lee
no.
guy said Lee guy said he had to go. He was getting that torrents that time of the night. No, so 443. Like I say, YouTuber, many nations that will take him, give him exactly the city he's got, if not better. Get your stuff together. Bronx, sorry I threw your nation underneath the bus like that, but
Nah, man, we got to speak the truth. We can't sit here and hide behind bullshit. We're not gonna get
it
anywhere
is
like that.
it is the truth. Period. Like in all actual reality, that should be the one person you guys should be protecting the most. The most.
Well, yeah, he got kind of blindsided. He was tossed into a civil war he wasn't aware of. So yeah, that's what
Facts.
happened with you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, facts. I woke up to a 47 person hit based on reputation alone.
Yeah, that sucks. Sucks.
I mean, the good news is that city was just zeroed out in a void, so like I didn't lose anything.
Oh, was it? I wasn't aware. See, that's how much I've been playing lately.
Yeah, no. So Tiggs was playing it and didn't bubble, so he disrespected a nation, and yeah, you're gonna die if you do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He did have it.
Yeah, unfortunate shit happens.
Yep. Well, um, hopefully we can get some cooperation with the other guys, man. I don't know. They're pretty fucking stubborn, like they'll do their own thing. But I've been thinking like I had thought at one point to go to another nation, but I just didn't want to start over again, man. That's my whole
Well,
thing. Just
be happy Tip's not in here. Tip would have been fucking right in your PM right now.
well, I fuck
Thinking
with
about
Tip.
going to a different nation, are you? Well, here.
I fuck with Tip.
What is
I
he?
like
He's gonna
Tip.
be like 567. Right? Tip.
Yeah, 567.
Yeah.
If not better.
Yeah.
In,
Well,
in one of these newer
that was the
nations,
big
right?
thing.
Yeah, there's
That-
there's a lot of good nations out. There's a lot of
yeah.
good nations out there. Specifically, like Pharaoh for you, being that you're doing the whole YouTube again. You know, working on your channel is a big thing. And obviously, playing the game as well. But I mean, for you to work on your channel, I'll be 100% real with you. I would say probably go reach out to one of these newer nations, such as like 1111 or in the 1200s. That way, you get the newer people in the game. As the game gets older, we all know the older players they tend to either leave the nation or they retire altogether. Um, these newer nations, they still got 2 years in their, underneath their skin. That's where they can still play the game before they make a decision like that. So like getting your name out in those newer nations is huge. And not saying to go. I'm just saying if you decide to just be like, okay, enough's enough. I've had it. I'm moving to a different nation. If you do decide to do that, these newer nations will probably be more than happy to take you.
Yeah, I spent a bit of time in 1060 right before I quit the last time. And honestly, if Champ hadn't messaged me to ask if I could watch a city, I would have been starting over in whatever the newest nation is, like 1392 or whatever it is on the new globe. That was my plan originally.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And then Champ shot me a text, and I can't say no to him because I've known him forever. And he's a good dude, so I just couldn't.
Well, if he's that good of a dude, you can text him back and say, "Hey, take it back."
Believe
Sorry,
me,
not
I've
gonna
thought
work
about
out.
it a couple of times.
But hey, I'm going to be leaving the live here soon because I got stuff I have to do tonight, like make a video. But people, guys, be sure to follow his channel, and I'm putting it back out here again. He's got some good content, old stuff and new stuff he's coming out with. Like he's one of the vets that came from years ago. He's back. Got some good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, just to tease content because I can. But I made a video recently talking about why like long range didn't fall off a cliff with C41, right? And there's some good reasons for a lot of these things that I don't think people think about with interactions. So a lot of what I look at is what do we think we know, and is it true? And just to tell everyone now on Woody's section, I'm going to be going after stat averaging here in a little bit because I think everything we know about it's wrong. So, cheers.
Ooh, that'd be something to watch. That'd be something to watch.
Oh yeah. So I'll be working on it. I'm trying to find proof. because you know me.
Yeah, you need proof. And in reality, everyone needs to prove. You can say something, I can say something, but without the proof, it means nothing.
Exactly. So I sent a message out to Enox the other night, or just yesterday, I think it was, and yeah, I'm gonna start working on kind of showing my work.
Well, they both make videos.
Well, and yeah, Enox, when he first started, he actually messaged me way back when, right when he was first starting his channel, and asked if I could help him start it up too. So I mean, we have a relationship for making videos together 2 years ago, even. So we're good friends.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. And feel free to post in my YouTube, in my Discord, on the YouTube portion. Feel free to post whatever. That's what it's there for. People to see, get your name out there. That would never. But as for me, guys, I got shit I got to do tonight. So, carry on.
Good night,
I'm out.
Woody.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off too. You guys have a good night.